All right, Jeffrey, we are live, and I'm sure we're going to start seeing the comments stream in here in just a minute. Folks, those of you that are in here, we've got John Ishii working on some audio issues, and he'll join us shortly. And I've got a laundry list of people that may join us tonight. So get ready. This could be, as Jeffrey said a minute ago, the Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
It ought to be interesting. I don't know why my stream doesn't. Here we go. Now it's live. What's going on? Hang on, John. I'm coming. Mr. John Ishii. John Ishii.
Let's hope this works.
It sounds. You hearing that? Replay.
Is it echoing?
You hearing it, Jeffrey? You hearing it, Jeffrey?
Yeah, echoing.
Yeah. You sound great. But we sound great. Through your computer too.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are coming in loud and clear.
Yeah,
I got the speakers off, so there's no feedback. My laptop is using Wi-Fi, so that doesn't work as well as direct connection.
Yeah.
I suppose my iMac. I
can hear every word I say.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Unless you got YouTube. Make sure YouTube's.
No, YouTube is off.
Hello, Timothy. And friends.
Yeah, we're getting some feedback from John's end, I think. Hey, John.
Yeah.
Do me a favor and mute your mic for a second. Let me see that stops it. Just hit mute on Restream. Yeah, there's nothing now. Can you still hear me? I mean, we can't hear you, so that's where it's at. Yeah, 247 Lamar. Man, hate to hear you got COVID, man. So, Paul, let us get this sorted out, and yeah, I may send you the link here in just a minute. Coffee, grits, and 100% battery, Greg Wilson says. All right.
So, I don't think we're going to try to break an almost 5-hour record.
We are not, because I have to get up early in the morning, go pick my brother up. But we're going to have fun. Hey, Albert, good to see you in here, buddy. How you doing, Long Rider? You know what we're going to have to do, John? When you want to talk, you're just going to have to jump in and unmute and talk.
Thank you, Timothy. I appreciate the comment.
Gustavo, good evening, sir.
Yeah, Gustavo sends us a lot of nice pictures, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he does. He's out there shooting, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
No, my big projects are not done yet, Greg, but I'm getting closer and closer. I'm to the point where it's as is, just about. Just Mama says she wants to clear out some more clutter, so we're going to get another dumpster and clear out even more, and then this baby's going on the market. I'm ready to get out of here, ready to head south. She is too, though, by the way. All right, so we got a bunch of folks in the chat already. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Tonight's topic is what you guys talk about. We're going to watch the comments, and we're just going to reply or throw your comments up here on the screen, and everybody's going to get a chance to voice their opinion on a lot of things. I've had a few emails discussing some things about Nikon, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. I know we'll get to it eventually through you guys. Courage Studios Photography in here. How you doing, sir? Good to see you. Been following your photography. It's looking great, man. All right. I don't know who else is going to join, but we'll see. We shall see. Let me throw another invite out to somebody. Hang on a second. Let me go back. Let me go in here. Hang on a second. Hang on. Carry on there, Jeff. I'm just.
Okay. Well, let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, Roy, that's an interesting issue comparing the Z90 or D850 and seeing a different exposure. But I guess the exposure meters could be out, a meter could get out of calibration. I mean, they do have to cal those in the cameras once in a while. If you send them in for repair or service, they'll do a recal and check all that stuff out. But maybe one or the other is off slightly. But you would like to think they would be the same.
Here we go. This is one of the things that I've been chatting with somebody about in emails. Do you think that Nikon will give us a pro level D500 replacement this year? Man, I'll tell you what, I'm scratching my head on what Nikon's going to do. Since we found out that one of the two cameras that we heard were actually registered is the Z9. I don't know how nobody caught that. But anyway, there is a chance that we'll see the D500 or the Pro Body DX camera this year. But I got to tell you, I'm still pulling hard for October-ish. One of the three bodies, the Z6 III, Z7 III, or Z8. I just think Nikon has to do that. And I'm getting a lot of flack for that too. Believe me.
George, regarding the 400 4.5 Nikon rumors, I'm not sure when the last date was that they published information. I went on there tonight before the show started, and they claimed that the 400 4.5 started shipping. But I don't know anyone that's got one. I believe Mozman's on the list to get one. I don't know who else might be on the list.
I thought Mozman said he got a notification that it was going to ship in a week or something like that. I don't think he got the actual shipment information, but I'm sure Moz will chime in here and let us know. So that may answer the question on the 400 4.5.
Yeah.
There you go, Charles. It's probably a good idea if you don't really need anything right now. I mean, you're not dying for anything right now. That might be the best bet. Mr. Ishii is back. Let's see. Mr. Ishii.
Me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Now we could do phone commercials now. We can hear you now.
All right. Good. Okay, that's fine. We don't care about the location. There you go.
If you have your cup of Joe, you're good, right?
That's right. Oh, here you go. This is so Amar saying two of the people in the group he runs got the lens, the 400 4.5. I assume you're talking about Amar. And somebody else had a comment up here I wanted to grab real quick. Oh, it was you, Amar, with your other comment. Nikon will respond.
I wanted to grab real quick.
There we go. Here's Mr. Paul Connors joining us.
Your other comment.
All right, Paul, we're getting all the feedback through you now.
How's that?
Well, let's see.
I think you're
Sounds
good.
good. Yep.
You're good.
Oh.
Yeah, Mar, I believe
How's
they
that?
will too, but I can't guarantee anything with Nikon.
Sounds good.
No, I'm getting it. I'm still getting it.
Yeah, Mar,
Paul.
I believe they will too, but I can't guarantee anything with Nikon. Sounds good. No, I'm getting it. I'm still getting it. Yeah, Mar,
All right, it just faded away.
I'm convinced it's the internet. You got to get really close to the router.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Jeffrey's good tonight, and the other night he was having mic trouble.
Yeah, and I'm using the same mic, and I didn't do anything to it. It just I pulled it 3 inches forward. That's all I did.
you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Paul, we can hear you.
Yep, we can, Paul.
You hear me now?
Yep, still hear you. So
Okay.
here you go. One of the people in Amar's group says that they have or they either have it or they're getting the 400 4.5s on the way or something. So that's good news for everybody that's ordered it.
I decided
The comment about Nikon, no more DSLRs. The clarification from Nikon is they did not. Well, let's put it this way: they're going to sell whatever they have. They're going to support whatever's out there. They're going to service whatever is out there for an undetermined amount of time. They didn't say how many years, but they did not say that they were going to develop any new DSLRs. So Matt Irwin had something on his show that I watched today, and I think basically what it comes down to is I think the common interpretation is support for what's out there, support what's still left in inventory, service what's out there. Nothing new being developed. That you might get some firmware upgrades on some of the newer DSLRs, and that's pretty much it.
So here we go with communication again. Could we be more vague yet? Say I just I'm sorry. Couldn't they just say that's correct? We are no longer in developing. I mean, there will be no more new DSLRs. Just something simple, so us country folk understand it.
Jeffrey, did they deviate anything much from what the Nikkei announcement was, or did they confirm or somewhat deny? Or
well, Nikkei kind of made it out like they were done with everything, and that's where Nikon's basically saying, no, we're gonna support and service what's out there. We're gonna sell inventory, but they did not deny or that they were not going to make any new DSLRs. So one's assuming that support for what's out there, nothing new.
the stores that have inventory, I would think, from a pure business standpoint, especially the better informed users of Nikon products, that might cause people to basically run away from anything related to DSLRs.
Well, I think it's going to come down to, I know Matt Irwin likes to use this saying all the time, so I hate to steal from him, but he always says it depends on your use case, right? So if you're really not into video at all, and there is a certain percentage of people that don't really want to have anything to do with video, and most of the DSLRs are not really known for their video, so you could probably be shooting with one of those 20 years from now. I mean,
so there we go. We got another. We hit another topic that I've been discussing with people about video and cameras, and they're all not all, but I mean, the person was talking about, why do I have to buy a camera with video in it? Well, just don't use it. But and then, that's basically what I said. And then the reply came back, well, I don't want to pay for it if I'm not going to use it. Well, guess what? The cameras don't cost any more now than they did without video. Guess what? You're not getting one with that. I hate to be so blunt, but some people want to argue with me like I'm at Nikon heading up the development team, R&D, but you're not getting one without video. until Nikon catches up with what they want to produce, you might get a DF like camera. All right. I won't rule it out, but you may get one. But guess what? That's not priority on their list, and it shouldn't be.
Well, speaking of which, review latest, and Chris yesterday they were talking about
Okay, John,
this
your
Z9.
your audio's going in and out. So I'm assuming we've got, just like somebody said a minute ago, it may be a YouTube issue and not you.
Yeah, I think you're sounding probably like how I did Wednesday.
Yeah. So just hang in there though, John. Hang in there. We'll check it periodically and see if it picks up. I don't know what it is, but that may be true, because that may have been what was going on with Jeff, just like he said.
It's just your turn. You're in the lower left-hand corner like I was when I had a problem. So it might have something to do with where you are on the screen.
All right. All right. So Mr.
Albert says we're all echoing now.
Yeah,
How are we doing now, Albert?
Yeah, I don't hear it from my end anyway.
Yeah, let me check something here just to be sure. I don't think this is it, but nope. Nope. Wanted to make sure it wasn't me that was causing all the problem.
You know, I just saw somebody's comment about supporting existing DSLRs and things like that. But I got to be honest with you, Chuck. I'm really glad I was able to trade that D850, the brand new D850, in that I never used, and get my money back and the sales tax back and apply it toward the Z9.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, because now I got to sell mine. I'm going to share my screen real quick, guys. Mr. Amar sent this. This is from one of his folks. So you can.
That's the 400 4.5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody got one.
Yep. Thanks, Amar, for sharing that. So I guess somebody sent him a photo of it. What's it on? A Z7? I don't know. It's hard to tell from here. But good looking lens, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, I know Mozman was going to get one, and I guess I had reservations shooting full frame. But I guess if I wanted to resign myself to shooting in crop mode, then yeah, I'd have a 600 equivalent f4.5. It's just I'm not one that likes to use the crop mode that often, but it would not be a horrible thing to do, and obviously it would be a lot cheaper than ever getting a 600 f4 down the road, and whenever they come out with it for 13,000 plus, which I won't get. Just one more lens I won't buy.
But by the way, everybody, I'm attending an event a week from today at Bergen County Camera in New Jersey. The Nikon East Coast rep is there. If anybody has any questions that they want asked directly from the East Coast rep, let me know, and I will ask those questions. He's going to be at Bergen County Camera in Westminster.
My guess is you're going to ask any question that we would have, and he's going to tell you the same thing that we can expect, because they're not giving anything away. That's all NDA stuff, and there isn't a chance he's going to leak anything.
You just got to hope you could pick the lock to the trunk of the car and maybe find something good in there.
Hey,
I have a pretty good rapport with the guy, so I mean, he does tell me stuff, kind of off the record, but
yeah, but he ain't telling you anything that we want to know, like when's the D500 equivalent coming out, or what's next, what's coming, and when is it coming? Those questions are off limits. If he knows, and if he does know and you ask him, he'll probably say, I can't tell you if I knew anything. But try it, man. Give it a shot.
Yeah, Greg
Well-
wants his 800 really bad, and
Well,
unfortunately, I guess there is the statement out there with the 400 2.8 and the 800. No new orders until backlogs are fulfilled. So who knows how many are in the backlog state? How many hundreds or thousands? I have
so
no
do you
clue.
think that they went to the 400 4.5 on that line, halted the 800 for a bit? Who knows? So production capability, that's one of the things I'm still harping on. I'd like to see Nikon develop more production capability, and I know it takes time, but we keep talking about all these parts shortages and chips and everything else. By the time they got a production facility up and running, we'd be out of the parts shortage, and then maybe we'd get a whole lot more lenses and camera bodies. But again, I'll get shot down for that comment, from all the Nikon fanboys. And you know what? They come in all ages, I've learned. Yes, because people can't want anything anymore. You have to be patient and put up with whatever's going on. No, we do not. As a consumer, we can be as impatient as we want.
After all, it is our money.
That's right.
Yeah.
That they want, by the way.
That's right.
To 247 Media Group, Nikon does have a Z series teleconverter. It's available on Nikon. It's available on the Nikon website.
The 1.4 as well as the 2.0.
Right.
I think Chuck might have both of them. I'm not sure. I think he's running off to get them.
I believe he is.
He has that secret room in the back with all his stash.
Yeah, I got it all piled up. I would say stacked up, but it's not. It's piled up.
Which one is that, Chuck?
It's the
That's
2X.
a 2.0. That's a 2.0. Two
Yep.
times.
Yep. So I got it to go on the 1 to 400, and it does work well. Go ahead, John.
Dry boxes.
No, actually, I don't here because I don't have a humidity problem. I know it's still a good idea, and I've toyed with the thought of getting one of those rug guards. We looked at them while we were at B&H, by the way, and I'll probably do that as soon as I get down to Tennessee.
You'd probably need three.
You'd
probably need 3 or 4 though, Chuck, with all the gear you got.
Well, that's why I need to sell some of it.
Yeah.
Chuck, didn't you say when we were at B&H that they have a super duper big one?
Oh yeah, I think Rugard makes them up to I don't know how many cubic liters or whatever, however they measure them, cubic feet or inches. But yeah, you can get them as big as a big humidor, a giant, stand up humidor, which basically it is just in reverse.
Yeah, the ones we saw in B&H, they had 2 on the floor. One was relatively small.
Mm-hmm.
And one was, I would call maybe medium, but you said they came bigger than the one we saw on the floor.
Yeah, they do. And there's another company that makes them as well. The bigger they get, obviously, the more expensive they get, but the smaller ones aren't that expensive. They're actually relatively reasonably priced.
I got 2 of them.
Jonathan De La Rosa just said he bought one from Adorama. Jonathan, can you put the brand the size you bought there on your comment?
Charles, I think Nikon their sale just ended, I think on July 3rd or 4th recently. So I don't think Nikon has any. Well, they don't have the same promotion they had a week or so ago, where they had a lot of lenses discounted, and unfortunately, there's a whole list of lenses that on August 1st are going to go up in price. All Z lenses, by the way, but not every Z lens. But your 2.8s are going to go up like $100 a lens, and then
Well, they've got a list of which lenses are actually going up. Not all of them are on it, and that's easy to come by for anybody that wants to check it out. Yeah. So I think it's on Nikon Rumors. They posted all the lenses with the price hikes. For the most part, it was $100 for the the better lenses, but there were a few. It was only $10, and I think some of those were the DX lenses and things like that.
Yeah, 100 was the highest that it was.
So
Jeffrey, that sale that just ended on July 3rd, that was the Father's Day sale that they announced was going to end on July 3rd.
Yeah. So I don't know if they have another one coming out or not.
they will. They're going to, no doubt about it.
I got
So
a deal
Jeff
the
got.
other day.
What'd you get?
28 2E for 100 and this guy.
He's breaking up again.
Yeah, we know, Paul. We're just trying to let him get through it to see if we can get the gist of it. Go ahead, John.
ZFC kit. Didn't want from land, so he sold it for $100, and it's
it's a cracker of the lens, is what I hear, and that's a great price on it, especially if somebody didn't want it. Hey, I want to address this comment with Jeff. You got shut down on Steve Perry's forum for pointing out Nikon has had this problem far longer than COVID part shortages or whatever the shortages were. And you're absolutely right, Jeff, as I've harped on that before when people were telling me it's all about the chips. Well, Nikon's had this problem for a long time, long before the chips were an issue, which is why I go back to, how about we get some more production facilities going? If you want to be a big player in the game, especially at this time, because people aren't like they were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Nobody wants to wait. And I know I'll get the smart Alex that say, well, you're going to have to. Well, it doesn't mean I'm not going to complain about it either. So let's get going, Nikon USA, put the word out. Let everybody know that that's what we need to be doing. Or they need to be doing.
Jeff's not saying anything, obviously, that isn't true. And I guess the thing is, you got to wonder, obviously Nikon was in financial straits there for a while. Now, how long a while? I don't know. I mean, maybe that forced them to be extremely conservative with how much of anything they wanted to make up front, and they haven't gotten out of that stigma yet. But, they obviously have the demand. I mean, they keep all this stuff they're coming out with now in the Z mount, whether it be a lens or a body, is a home run. And eventually you got to say, let's stop doubting ourselves here, and you got to start ramping up your production. Your first allotment, you have to have a larger amount of lenses or bodies to get out there and not have everybody
bottom
waiting.
line is, you want to be a big player, then be a big player. If you don't, then let everybody know, signal it loud and clear. But I know they won't do that because they don't want anybody to leave over that. But let's be honest. It's time for them to play the big boy game. Let's not be the tiny company everybody wants to say they are. So, every excuse in the world. Again, this is why Nikon's never going to reach out to me and say, hey, would you like to test this lens? I'm on the dartboard at Nikon USA, no doubt about it. But I'm telling you, I don't care, because I want Nikon to hear it. They need to hear it from the field. All these people that are fanboys that just keep, letting them get away with everything. It's time we as the consumer spoke up. Quit being a fanboy, as if the cameras can't do anything wrong, or the lenses can't do anything wrong, or Nikon can't do anything wrong. Nikon is such a tech giant right now in their development of their mirrorless cameras. So why not get it out in the hands of the people that want it? We're ready to buy it. Just build it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with you can love the brand, which I think we all do. You can love the brand and be critical of them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they have to be kept on their toes, and they have to know that the people that have been using their gear for a very, very, very long time, just don't like these patterns that they seem to be locked into that are just making it difficult for, I mean, when you start getting where you're, let's say 60 or older, you're not going to sit there and wait forever for everything. You're going to do what other people have done. If you can't get it, you'll go to somebody who has it. You can't wait year after year after year.
Hey, hello,
Jeff-
Nikon. Good to see you. Go ahead, Paul.
I speak regularly to Adrian Alford, who's an Australian photographer, Nikon user.
Right.
He actually, Chuck, I'll actually have to send you the email thread that he sent to me. It goes back several months, but I told him about this is before I bought the Z9, and I had the D850, which was unboxed and unused at that point. And he was going into what he did, what his decision making was, and he came right out and told me that he would not recommend buying a Z9 because he's a wildlife and landscape photographer in Australia. And he said he just didn't think that the eye autofocus for wildlife was there in the Z9. Now, I don't remember if that was prior to the 2.0 update or not, but he said that he would actually probably consider moving over to the Sony A1 because he just said that, and I hate to say it, but he quoted Jared Polin. He says, even Jared Polin says the eye autofocus is not there yet. So, that's a guy I respect. I've seen his work. He's not a fanboy, but he also said that one of the things that I guess would probably prevent him from buying a Z9 is because of his age. And he started talking about the weight and the bulk of the camera.
Yeah.
Because he still uses a D850 and even talked about the bulk of the D850. Now, he uses a D850 without the grip on it.
There you go. So that may be his real issue with a D9 or Z9 or any other large body camera. And I get that. You know what? He's got to make his own choices and decide what he wants to do. I don't know that I agree on bad eye autofocus for wildlife until
Not
you
anymore. Not anymore. I did a lot
until you
of
get
testing.
to little
Not
birds and thickets or whatebe. But again, I'm not convinced that it's any worse than the A1. Go ahead, John.
Well, I shot those cock. I'm telling you, when they throw it's one big blur. My Z9 with that I stuck to that eyeball, which is this like a champ. I got a 95%. So, all this stuff with Jared Pole. I use the Sony's the ergonomics by using those. It's just cumbersome. But then again, I've been using for what, 30.
Yeah.
So I nailed it, man.
John, here's the problem is it all stems from actual birders that are shooting constant bird. That's all they do is birding. So this is where it comes from. Is it that much different than the A1? I don't know, but that's where all this comes from. And Ronald Pollard and I have had so many conversations about this. The Z9 is a fantastic camera. You can shoot it all day long and everything and never have an issue with it at all. It does a fantastic job. And Ronald sent me some photos he took today at an event he was shooting. It's just fantastic. But when you get to birding, I'm not a birder. I had trouble with it in birding, but that doesn't mean it's the camera's fault. It's probably my fault, but it doesn't matter because marketing is fixated on birding when they're testing these cameras and reviewing these cameras. So no matter whether we like it or not, we're not going to educate the masses and tell them that that's not the case. That was Nikon's fault. Nikon should have done better, in my opinion. And they didn't. They let that go on far too long.
I'll tell you that with the new release of the nominal improvement that they're saying with the 2.1, I mean, I put out 2 videos shooting small birds in one of them, shooting birds in flight in the second one. And I know people that have the Sony A1, and I know people that have the Canon, R3 or the R5. And I'll tell you, yes, I mean, when they first came out with the Z9, my opinion was the AF versus the A1. The Z9 AF was 90% of what the A1 can do. And I had no problem with that because I knew there would be future firmware upgrades and that they would, you know, tweak the algorithms. They would do what they have to do, and it would improve. My opinion, and I shoot birds 90% of the time, is that it is so much improved with this last firmware change. I challenge anybody to say that it's lacking
You know,
versus any
okay,
other camera.
Well,
you're absolutely right, Jeff. But the problem is, we need to get side by side, literally side by side, with two competent bird shooters. So that take that out of the equation and shoot and show the results. That's the problem. That's the only way we're going to address this. Otherwise, we just ignore it and just keep moving on. The reviewers are going to do what they do. You know, the YouTube sensations are going to do what they do for whatever reason. And I've said it before, some have an issue with Nikon, whatever it is, I don't know. Others are using it for views. They may not even believe what they're saying. They just get views out of it. Go ahead, John.
Zaid wasn't happy. Zaid, he was pissed.
Yeah. And I wish he's got an invite. I wish he'd join us as well, because I don't know if he's fixed that yet or not, but he did consider there may be an issue because he may have messed up the firmware update when he was doing it with his camera. And I haven't heard anything else out of him, so I assume that's what it was. Yeah.
In case anybody's interested, I saw 4 Z9s being used around greens at the British Open today on TV.
Well, there are banners all over the British Open for Nikon, so that's a start. That's good. And Nikon had a commercial during the Open for their rangefinder, the Nikon rangefinder for golf.
Yeah,
so,
I use one of those, Chuck. They're great.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, so there you go. That's the beginnings of trying to get back into the marketing game. But I haven't seen any banners for a long time, and all of a sudden they pop up.
The lenses, though, I could tell that they were shooting. I think it was around the 17th green at St. Andrews. They were all F-mount glass, though.
Yeah. Well, okay. That tells you something. And we know that a lot of pros with D6s have not decided to switch yet.
Well, I saw D6s and the Canon equivalents at the Open too, but I counted 4 Z9s because I saw them.
I didn't see them, and I've been watching intently, so I didn't see any. But yeah. All right. So that's the beginnings. Go ahead, John.
Hundreds pro golf. Yeah, with mine, it was mostly Canon and that pro golf.
Yeah, you're still breaking up pretty bad, John. I don't know what it is, but still breaking up. Oh, I just heard the bleep.
I like Mega Briar Patch's comment. 2 competent bird shooters, Tony and Chelsea.
Mr. Amar, how are you, sir?
Hey guys, I'm actually good. How are you guys?
Yeah, I hope you're getting better already. I hope you're getting through that.
Yeah, it was pretty rough for about 2.5, 3 days. But yeah, we're getting there. The only, I won't go on video and stuff, but I just want to, just let you guys know what you guys are going through right now from a Nikon, fan base. Canon went through the same crap, right? So it's nothing new. All I can tell you is hang in there and buy whatever the hell you can get your hands on right now and use it. Because you know what? The biggest problem that I'm seeing even on my channel is, make a video about an R7 and people be like, oh, I'll wait for the R7 too. Really? I don't think they've even drawn it yet. I mean, you know how stupid
it isn't going to come out a week later.
Yeah. So it's like, let me enjoy the R7 for a year to 2 years before they design the R7 II. And then you can buy the R7 II, and I would have already enjoyed the camera for a year. So don't rob yourself from being able to enjoy what's out there, and support them. Because if we keep all going into this wait state, I'm telling you right now, Nikon is not going to push it to the next level, because if they have even a greater, response where more and more people want to buy it, then they're going to sit there and say, maybe we better really push this, and get this out the door. I'm part of a pretty massive, Nikon Z group on Facebook, because I run about 5 or 6 massive groups. And I've seen pictures like you were talking about right now, Jeff, from the Z9. And not just burning pictures, just pictures. And they look freaking incredible. And I have one guy that actually shoots all Sony G Master lenses on the Nikon Z9. And they look better than the Nikon lenses on there. And they work flawlessly, like it's like native to the system with that. You look at those images, what are you waiting for? Right? Pick up whatever you can. Start using it.
Well,
right?
yeah.
Don't wait.
Yeah, Mark, I think we're doing that. But I mean, nobody stopped shooting just because they can't get their hands on whatever it is they want. I think everybody's shooting. This goes back to my education. We're trying to re-educate photographers in America. Right. And that isn't going to happen. That is not going to happen. And we can keep preaching it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I got to tell you, right now we've hit a point where people want what they want, and the suppliers, the market isn't supplying it. So do we keep beating our head against the wall? Yes, that's what we do. And platforms like yours, like mine, like Vahagan's, like Grays of Westminster, where we get on here and talk about it, I do believe that Nikon watches this. They keep their eye on stuff like this because they're hearing from the base. They're hearing.
I hope they do. Yeah.
Well, they're stupid if they don't, and I have to believe that they do. They may not like what they hear or the way we say it, but they're hearing from the masses, and that should be.
What's shocking to me, Chuck, is I'll give you real life situations, right? With the R3, when Canon released that was really.
I just lost your audio.
Not for me to decide, but it did it. And they still delivered the camera, right? The R7, they said that they would go out. And they did deliver them on the first day, right? Mm-hmm. And they're still delivering lots of them. So what I'm trying to understand is, what is it that Nikon's not able to do that Sony and Canon are able to do? Because I can guarantee you right now, you open up half of these cameras, regardless of the brand, they probably have the same exact damn chips in them.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that's been my argument too, because I bring that up and they all tell me, these are Nikon shooters, by the way, mostly, that all tell me, oh, well, Sony and Canon are having the same problems. And I said, well, why do they announce a camera, brand new camera with the new chip in it, with the new processor in it, and it's already out in the hands of people? Why is that? Riddle me that, Batman. Because Nikon, so then they go down the list of excuses for Nikon. Man, I sound like somebody that doesn't like Nikon. They go down the list of excuses. Well, Nikon's a smaller company. We'll make it bigger.
Well, like you said,
Nikon is not that small, guys.
I know that.
Use a lot of the same
I know that,
steps.
but the fanboys will do everything they can to explain away. Yeah. So, I'm not hearing it. That's why I said earlier, it's time for Nikon to build more production. And Nikon brought up a good point, saying they laid off so many different people or whatever. You know what? You better hire them back, Nikon. It's your time to play in the big game or just become that niche camera company. And oh, by the way, don't get mad when people say they're tired of waiting and they're moving to another brand.
Well, you said the magical words, right? When people wait around long enough, especially people that are spending $6,000-$7,000, right, on a flagship.
Yeah.
If for any reason, like, I'll give you an example. I hate to bring the guy up. I don't even watch his channel. I just, ended up watching because there was someone noise about it. Bayou Josh, right?
Yep.
What happened to him, right? Waiting around. Then he said, let me go try a Sony. He tried it. Guess what happened? He got a little taste of it, and he wanted more. Then he wanted more. When you start having this kind of behavior trickling down, two things that Nikon's got to lose that Sony doesn't. Nikon and Canon, they both have DSLR owners that have DSLRs in their bags. It is their job right now to get those DSLRs out and put mirror. If they don't, they are going to have to shut their doors eventually, because that's a huge amount of population that have these cameras.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. I'm not here saying Nikon's going out of business. I say they may just become the niche company or the niche company with a smaller production, smaller output, great tech, but can't get it in the hands of people if they continue down this path. And the supply issue, the production issue is not because of COVID. They've had this issue for years and years.
Mm-hmm. They
You
had it
couldn't
even
get a
before COVID,
D850 in your
remember?
hands.
Even
Yes,
the D850, not
yes.
D850, the D500 wasn't available for 2 years. I'm like, screw that.
D800, D500, the 500 PF. I mean, the list goes on and on. So Nikon has a problem with production to begin with.
But
Fix it.
I'll tell you this though, Chuck. What based on what I'm seeing, right, on the products that they're putting out, and as fast as they're actually adapting to the change, right? Because this is a huge shift mentally for them too. Because they really honestly thought the DSLRs would live on forever. So did I. I still have 6 1D bodies downstairs, right? I still I truly believe that that mirror is magical, but that's not where the world is going, and I have to be realistic.
Yeah,
Amar, Nikon even admitted, and the statistics showed it, that when the first generation, the second generation Zs came out, their resident DSLR users were not transitioning the way they hoped.
That's
they
not a good
weren't
thing.
going to. They weren't going to until Nikon produced the equivalent to what they were shooting in DSLR.
That's right.
That's understandable. And DSLRs may go away as far as production goes, new production goes, but they're going to be around a long time, just like film bodies were around for a long time with the advent of the DSLR. So
Right.
that,
someone like a Roy would probably buy, the latest and greatest and keep it because he loves toys, right? He loves the latest and greatest. But most people, to your point, they will not jump unless you give me something that's equal or better, right? With me not losing anything. And the biggest fear that I have with all of these, digital cameras, I mean, I know the Sony A1 and R3, they all shoot with flash. I shoot a lot of events.
yeah.
I have never seen one video shot on the A1, an event shot on an A1 or an R3, like a wedding, with all flashes firing from it, to show me how awesome it actually works. No one is doing that. And to your point, Chuck, everyone's worried about 30.
You're going in and out too. I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi connection or what.
It's probably my connection. Yeah, it's become all about birding and this high speed, burst and things like that.
That's the marketing mantra right now, and Nikon got trapped in that instead of trying to defeat it early on. And talking about marketing, why hasn't Nikon pushed their video more? I mean,
I think the Z9 would probably be one of the most incredible wedding and event photography cameras. But it is. I don't see people doing that.
No, it is because it's an all-rounder. But I've got a comment up here right now from 772. I don't think it's about chips, as lens don't have chips, but they do, right? I think that they do.
Yeah, they do
to drive
have electronics.
Yes. It's about long-term sales. They aren't going to build production capacity to initial surge, but more to what they think they will be in the future. Well, it's kind of contradictory there, Daw, because you don't have to continue to produce the same thing. These production facilities retool, and they have it set up to do that. They run one run of lenses on a line, they change it and run the next line of lenses on that line. So the same thing for camera bodies. I mean, it's not like they wouldn't use it down the road. Right now, there's so much of a backlog. If they had 5 more facilities, they couldn't catch up anytime soon. So in the long run, you just go to 1 shift instead of 3 shifts, which I don't even know if Nikon's doing that now with the facilities they have. My point is, it's time for Nikon to think about bigger and better things. They just built this $1 billion, I don't know what it cost, headquarters, which they needed because they were just a floor on a building in downtown Japan or whatever. So now they're going to have this building. Well, it's time to build a production facility to go along with it. My opinion.
I think Greg's just trying to get my dander up when he says, somebody named Tony says it's.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We lost Jeff.
Yep, Jeff just froze. So we gotta. What's going on tonight that everybody's on the internet or on YouTube? That must be it. Jeff is back. No, Jeff just likes to change seats every now and then.
I tell you, I get so mad at how many the circle of doom on Restream. I mean,
Jeff, did you just do a firmware update on YouTube, man?
I'll tell you. So Greg Wilson says Tony says Sony's the heart of Nikon, and boy, I'm getting sick of hearing that crap. I'll tell you.
But by the way, I love watching your video. Very few people get white birds correctly exposed, and you did a hell of a job. So hats off to you.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. Jeff talking about he can order the A1 or A7 IV and 2 to 600 and have them in his hands before the end of the week. Nikon needs to really understand that.
That's right.
And we're going to hear 95 excuses why that's possible, and Nikon's not at fault. I'm kind of tired of hearing that. I don't care about the birding, bird detect or what. I could care less anymore. That's a lost cause. I'm not going to win that battle. I'm done with it. I think the bigger battle needs to be for Nikon to do better at marketing what this camera does better than anybody, and ignore all the others. Not that everybody won't have it, before long.
It is just such as you say, it's an all-rounder camera, which back in the DSLR days, the D850 was looked in that same regard, and it just does everything good. I mean, you can't go wrong with that camera, whether you're doing weddings or street photography. I mean, you can argue street photography. Some people like to be a little more inconspicuous and have a smaller camera or whatever, so it doesn't stand out. And a lot of those people own Fuji cameras, and I love Fuji cameras, so I don't have a problem with that. But I mean, in terms of the capabilities, the camera can do it all.
So John just typed, he sent it to me here. Tony's complaining because it doesn't have eyelash detect.
or back teeth detect.
Yeah. Here you go. Look at this. Timothy Brown. I pre-ordered the R7 because I need the Pro D500 mirrorless for high school football. If I don't hear anything, I will have to switch. I really want the Nikon. Okay, Nikon, your move. And
Someone that's on my channel. So he's been watching it quite a bit.
Yeah, well, so the thing is that he's not the only one. Again, I've had a bunch of emails here recently, and we're covering all of them that I've had, all the different complaints and everything else. And you know what? I'm tired of excusing them. And if I'm wrong, I'll say that later on. But right now, Nikon needs to jump on the horse and ride. Quit thinking that we're all going to be so loyal that we'll just continue to flounder along while they try to make up their mind.
I will say one thing though, Chuck. I think, based on what I've been watching from the Z9, we've got some really, experienced photographers in some of these groups. And I can tell you right now, it reminds me of the days when the 5D Classic came out from Canon and the Nikon D700.
Yeah.
Those were the icon. I know everyone talks about the D500, D850. That's fine. That's all great. That's all gravy for Nikon. That wasn't Nikon. D700 was the last Toshiba sensor that they ever used. And the images out of that camera, even today, are better than any Nikon that I've ever seen. It's just beautiful. The skin tones.
They are. They're nice. I had a D700, but I don't know if I'd go that far to say that it's better than anything that Nikon's produced since. But, and then again, it's been a long time since I shot my D700. I haven't even gone back to look at some of the photos. So I agree with you on that.
Still?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No, if I did, I would have been comparing it. You can bet on that.
Well, I've been fooling around quite a bit with the 5D Classic lately, and then looking at the D700 files that I had from the days of some of the weddings and stuff.
Yeah.
it didn't have the resolution of the newer cameras, but man, people just look beautiful coming out of that camera. You didn't have to spend all this time to make them look beautiful. They look
Yeah.
beautiful right out of it. That's what's my experience. So
Yeah. Well, right now, a lot of people, and this is one of the other emails. Nobody's hit it yet, but I'll throw it up. I'll throw it out there real quick. Is Nikon is concerned if they produce another full frame body that has the tech in it that it'll hurt Z9 sales. I think that's a bunch of crap. You can't hurt a sale that isn't happening, and right now they ain't happening because nobody can get it. So would some people drop their Z9 pre-orders? I don't even know how many are out there, but it seems like there are quite a few Z9s out already. Would they drop it for a Z8 that has, 80% of the capability of the Z9? Maybe some would, but so many people that are waiting for that camera will make up any drop on the Z9. And there are so many Nikon shooters out there waiting for it. And we still have people saying there's nothing wrong with the Z6 II or the Z7 II. Well, I beg to differ. And the only thing wrong with it is the fact that it doesn't have the new tech in it. You put the new tech in those two, give them a firmware update if it were possible to bring it up to par with what the Z9's doing. But see, I get in trouble for saying that because why would they build a Z9 or sell a Z9 if they put the same tech in another body? Well, and I'm tired of hearing about the D3S, D700 sales. The D700 didn't hurt the D3S. People that were going to buy it
exactly.
bought it. I'm tired of hearing that crap. They have nothing to back that up other than their
So
own.
I'll give you a real life example, right? Look at Canon side of the house. They introduced the R3 after the R5. Did the R5 shut down? Did everyone start dumping those? They didn't, right? So it doesn't matter. It's a baseless argument.
If you came out with a Z8, I'm just going to say Z8, and it's $3,500, you'd probably be selling those 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 versus the Z9. And if Z9 sales went down 10%, but they were selling 3-to-1, the Z8 versus the Z9, I don't think Nikon would care at all. They'd be happy as you know what. They'd be thrilled to death.
To add one more thing to what you just said right now, think about one thing. If they came out with the Z8 without, the extended grip and the battery built in, right? Give the folks the option. You can attach a battery grip if you want. Some people don't want a big camera.
Yeah.
Right? Now, all of a sudden, you have opened up the eyes of people that are sitting there in the Sony side of the house, sitting there going, maybe I should go back to Nikon because I originally came from there. Because Sony didn't have I came from an A99 II or A99 type of camera, like on their, single lens, translucent mirror DSLRs that they had. They had a very few. Most of their people that they have today went either from Canon or Nikon over there. They got a very good shot at getting some of these people back, right? And to your point, they would sell the hell out of that camera. If they came out with a Z8 $3,500, it would sell all day long.
Yeah. It's common sense, but I understand it takes time and development and everything else. But if anybody thinks that the Z8 wasn't in development, along with the Z9, or if it wasn't in development soon after the development announcement was made for the Z9, then you're crazy because these cameras don't happen overnight other than the Z30. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but a lot of people, Chuck, thought the Z9 was going to be the Z8. It was just a question of nomenclature at that point.
Well, yeah. That's great. I love that.
I just want to say to Greg Wilson, you didn't get me upset, Greg. The party that you mentioned tends to get me upset, but you and I are cool. We don't have any issues.
John's got the helicopter hat going. The fan in the background.
Yeah. We see
that's almost as bad as what somebody said to me about my lamp the other day, growing out of my head.
Yep.
Well, that lamp is now on the floor, so none of you can see it.
Yeah.
I remembered that comment. It's laying on the floor as we speak.
Here we go with re-education again. I love you, man, but let me read your comment before I make this statement. People expect cameras to compensate for their own shortcomings. I see a lot of questions on Z9 forums that are very basic. Yep, you're right. I do too. They expect to pick up an expensive camera and take awesome shots. You know what? Nikon doesn't care who buys the Z9. They honestly don't. That's not their business. Their business is selling Z9s. Their business is selling Z8s whenever that comes about. Their business is selling cameras. They don't care if you know how to use it. A sale is a sale is a
Yep.
sale.
Yep.
So, guys,
You know?
let's level set, right?
They don't
You're
care if you
talking-
don't use the camera.
Right, exactly. So let's level set for a second, right? You're talking to someone that bought 6 1D bodies, and they were all $6,000 plus,
Yep.
right? In 1992, I paid $7,995 for the original 1D that came out. Okay, that was a lot of freaking money back then, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. What were those machines made for? Right, that and like the Nikons, you know, like you had the D1, what D1H and all of those. You remember those D2?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the equivalent, right?
Yeah, those were all considered in that day because pros were the biggest buyers for flagships.
Correct.
Pros meaning they could justify the purchase through what they were going to produce, and definitely photojournalist John Ishii, sitting right here in the middle with us, you were big partakers of all those flagships. So were sports shooters.
Yeah. A lot of Sports Illustrated folks had those cameras.
Okay, but nowadays we've got as many amateurs that don't know how to use the camera that are buying them, but I don't care. That's fine because again, the company makes money. They don't care who they sell to.
Agreed. So what I was the steer, the 1DX2, right?
Yep.
Most sold, sports and wildlife camera in the world, right? That's because every agency they all have it, right? They sold a little less than 200,000 of those units, right? And 80 to 90% of the people that bought them, they were owned by these agencies. They're not owned by people like you and me. Obviously, I bought them, and a lot of photographers that really needed it to go shoot fashion runway and things like that, they bought it.
Right.
So if you look at in the grand scheme of things, so what if it hurts the Z9 sales a little bit? On your bottom end, at least you can keep your lights on by selling a lot more units. It's all about units. Yeah, it's okay to make money too. But if they keep on pushing more units, it advances the chance of them being able to sell you one more lens. Why? Because you got another body. Because what do most people do when they buy a new car? First thing they do, right? They buy all these other things that go around the car that they buy.
Yeah.
That they weren't planning on. Why does that happen? When you buy a new house, you start buying new things in there just because you bought a new house. Right? Same thing happens with cameras. You buy a camera. Oh, I need this lens. Oh, wow, this lens looks really good. Let me order that one too. They're missing that boat right now. That's the big picture that they're missing. That's what I see.
Yeah, we got so many things going on in the Nikon camp. And you know what? Again, folks, I want everybody to know right now, I'm not switching to any brand. I like Nikon. It's not that I dislike all the other brands. They build good cameras as well. I'm not going anywhere, but I want Nikon to change. I want Nikon to get better. Okay. And Nikon's not going to die. I'm not screaming all this because I think Nikon's going to die. They're not, but they're going to remain a niche camera brand if they don't get off the pot, and they need to do that. They need to become a larger producer of cameras and lenses. And they've needed to do that for years, and they got away with it when we were in the DSLR market. So let's compare that. We're in the mirrorless market where more people are willing to drop bucks to buy into mirrorless. And they'll have more orders for cameras in the mirrorless market than they've had in DSLR market. Mark my words, it's happening. Why? Because we have a different crew that's buying these hybrid cameras.
Yep.
That want these hybrid cameras. You didn't get that in DSLR. You got decent video. you know, the 5D Mark II is the, you know, was the go-to, right?
Right.
You know, Amar. So the bottom line is Nikon needs to address that as well. Hey, we're going to have a whole lot more cameras to sell here in the future. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You got you a gecko?
That explain his video problem? The gecko chewed the wiring?
Oh,
He just killed the gecko.
that's too funny. Oh man.
Jeff, I hope you paid for that codec, man. I heard the Z9 got a stolen codec in there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, Z-Waves
No,
joined us.
But the point I was trying to make, earlier is, look at how much the Z9 costs. It's only $5,500, right? Well, I still remember when I bought the 1DX and 1DX2s, and in that range, Nikon was clearly $1,500 more for their camera, right? It was almost like $8,000 or something,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't get discounted. So you're getting a steal. Yeah, and you got to be ready. If something is $3,000 less, it opens up a lot more people that can actually afford it and buy it.
I always said that when they introduced at that price point, that was a stroke of genius.
Hey, I'm gonna coin a phrase when it comes to talking about cameras, marketing, and everything else. Re-education. Guess what? Doesn't exist, not gonna happen. People want what they want. You know, Albert, I love you, man. You know I do. I had a great time with you. But you know, this is preaching to the choir again. Learn the camera before moving forwards. Nobody cares whether they do or don't. I do, you do, other people do, but you're not going to educate the masses on, hey, if you got a camera, learn it and reach the full potential of that camera before you move on to another camera. It isn't happening. If that were the case, cars would be Model Ts to this day. That's just the way it is. People are going to buy what they want to buy, and then they want it. They want it in their hands.
The only problem with people not learning their cameras, like you said, I mean, Nikon probably doesn't care if you learn it or not because they got the sale, but they should care about it to a certain extent, because the people that don't learn their cameras and don't really get into them and understand how they work are the ones that will bash the company and say they make junk. And it's really not because it's junk. It's because they haven't taken the time to learn how to use it. And then it's a public relations problem, because they influence people.
If I turn my channel into a re-education channel talking about all the basics and what we need to do, you should learn your camera, learn all the settings and blah, blah, blah. I'll have 8 viewers.
You will have 8 viewers. That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
Because nobody wants to hear it. We're not in a society anymore.
Dude, I have over 500 videos, Chuck. Right? Yeah. Look at every video where it actually teaches you something, right? Metering for the whites. One thing, that's why I commented on you, Jeff, because, I wanted to compliment you. A lot of people don't understand metering for whites, especially birds and things like that. I made that video. Man, I have to send people there every single time. It's not like they're looking for it. They don't give a shit. But if you sit there and say, you got a new firmware update, you'll have 10,000 views on that firmware update one. But on the metering for whites, 300 views.
So again, we're not re-educating anybody. How about the people that can shoot? They're proficient, at least as a photographer, and they still want the new. Should we tell them, hey, sorry, you can't have it? Because they
already know how to.
Don't know how to use it. We're waiting until they learn. That's a marketing strategy.
I'll tell you one thing though. I'm very fortunate, to be hanging around Canon for a long time, and I don't know if you guys have ever watched Rudy Winston, right? I still have someone on my channel. He's like, man, if Sony had freaking Rudy Winston, I would leave and go to Sony. Because, that guy is like a walking freaking encyclopedia. And every time his video comes out about the camera, you want to watch it. Right? And that's it. You're done. Once you watch that, you figured out exactly how to use the whole thing. You're done.
Yeah.
and he just is a mastermind at it. So I'm pretty sure, the only person I can relate to that's close to Rudy in the Nikon world is Jerry. That was on Hagen's live stream. He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good. I like this, Mike. I appreciate that comment because that's exactly where I was going with my little chart on what Nikon needs to do. But they need to do it sooner rather than later. You had years of development of DSLRs, years of development. Okay, we've jumped to mirrorless. Mirrorless is the rage. Nikon doesn't get to have that luxury. Well, they think they do the way they're acting, but they don't have that luxury of taking years to develop those lines. Right now, Nikon needs to get this tech down into the next generation full frame cameras. And man, do I take a bashing over that. There's some hate mail big time over me saying that, they need to get this new tech in. But do you expect the Z7 III or the Z6 III to be just a small improvement over where they're at now? Anybody think that'll be the case?
It
And if
could
so,
be
Nikon
because
needs to hang it up.
the D6 was only a minor upgrade from the D5.
Well, my point is that everybody expects the next iteration of the Z6 and 7 series to have this new tech in it. And if it doesn't, woe be Nikon. Big slowdown again. This is when people look at the R5. This is, if they don't get the DX Pro body out, this is when people look at the R7. Am I lying? We just saw a comment from somebody saying exactly that. He's won. If we could, if we could see everybody in the U.S. and poll everybody that shoots a camera, then I'm sure we'd find that out.
John, you're killing me,
Gecko's
John.
back.
You sure that's not a rubber fake, lizard or something? It just sticks on everything.
Shoot that gecko.
Hey, that's wildlife photography with the phone.
Talk about close up.
The gecko loves you, Chuck.
Hey, Maz, I sent him one earlier, but I'll send it again. Maybe he deleted it by accident.
Spray paint that gecko green so we think it's the Geico one.
All right, let me scroll down here real quick. Sorry if I'm passing up. I'm trying to throw all these comments up. Even if we don't address it, your comments going up. And
So Hagen might be at a wedding tonight, Chuck.
Yeah, he could be. Mozman saying send him the link, so I'm going to send it again. Again, maybe as he scrolled through his, like me, emails, he just accidentally deleted it. So,
yeah, they said they were interviewing people on the street or something.
Mozman says he and Vahagen are on location. Okay,
yeah.
Hang on just a second. Coming at you, brother.
They're in Newark, and I don't think Newark in Rhode Island.
Jersey. Newark, New Jersey.
Newark. I don't know. Is there a Newark in California? I don't know.
I think there is.
Okay.
You got a Newark in New Jersey. You got a Newark in Delaware.
Yeah. It's probably one of those names that everybody has, right?
Nobody in their right mind goes to Newark in New Jersey. They're on Balboa Island down near San Diego.
Okay, so I know what probably happened is he's away from his computer, whatever reason. The email, he just doesn't have it on his phone or whatever. So
Newport, they're in Orange County, California. Newport Beach, probably.
All right, here we go. There you go, buddy. All right. Time for me to go to the little boys' room. You all know the drill. If I didn't do this, you know that something would be wrong. I will be right back. Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Paul,
come back with cookies.
Don't tear the store down while I'm gone.
I'll try not to. Well, I'm going to auction off what's in your studio while you're gone.
Okay. Well, that'd be a good thing, though.
Because you got to pack less when you move. So I'm going to try to sell some of your stuff for you.
There you go. All right. Hang on. I'll be right back.
Jeffrey, just don't sell a Z9.
Yeah. Well, I hope when his
All right,
wife
first
says,
I
Hey,
got to
there's
welcome
Vahagan.
Vahagan and Mozman. All
there
right,
they are.
Rock on.
there you go.
What's up?
Have at it, guys.
How you doing?
Good,
Good, how
brother.
are you?
We're having a great time here. Look.
You down in Newport
Ah.
Beach, Vahagan?
Yep.
Enjoying the water.
We're having a great time. Look, we're having a great time. We're interviewing
Orange County
random people
rocks.
on the street. It's gonna be some phenomenal footage coming to photography soon.
Did you guys do a shootout today?
No, we didn't get a chance to. Look, but we have this.
Oh, you're down in
Oh,
Balboa.
wow.
There we go. Oh, he's got the road hookup.
The road, and the Z9 and the 24 to 72.8.
And you're rocking and rolling.
Hey, Vahagan, Long Rider says you're out trolling for gay sailors.
What?
Long Rider says you're out trolling for gay sailors.
Long Rider says what?
Never mind.
We can't repeat it a third time. We'll get kicked off of YouTube.
Hey, look at this. What's up,
That's-
Connors, Ishii,
Hey,
Jeffrey, and who's A?
Long Rider says you're out trolling for gay sailors.
What the hell? Did you hear that? No, I heard Long Rider something. He said we're trolling for, well, I won't repeat that other word, but
Yeah.
sailors. Sailors? Yeah. That's what we're doing, Long Rider. We're not Sony shooters. Remember
Hey,
that.
Long Rider, you're not being
Ooh.
very PC, dude.
Hey, who's A? Who's A?
Amar.
Oh, Amar's on here too?
Yep.
What's up, Amar?
Yeah, he's hurting a little bit. He's recovering from COVID. He got COVID.
You got COVID?
Yeah, so he's going through the fun of that.
Oh yeah.
You guys out there having a ball?
Dude, we're having a great time.
That's
I'd
awesome.
like to be near the water, but all it's been doing down at my end here is like rain almost every single day and night.
Hey,
It's
right
been
here,
horrible.
right here, Chuck. Look, Chuck. Look.
82, what?
Mega Millions, 530 million.
530 million. Win it, man.
Right
I
there,
want that
baby.
house.
How many Z9s can you buy with that money?
None right now.
It won't matter because you won't get them.
You could build the extra
Of course it'll
factory for
matter. You
Nikon.
pay over sticker.
Hey, Vahagan, I couldn't win that lottery if I had the only ticket printed.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we don't want to disrupt the chat. You guys keep rocking. And video coming soon.
All right, buddy.
Sounds good.
You guys got some amazing video coming soon from Vahagan.
All right,
Subscribe if
man.
you're not subscribed.
Good to see you out there, Mozman.
Mozman's the star of this video, so it's going to be a good one.
It will be.
It's 2 for 1, man. Subscribe while you can. Otherwise, we're going to charge you.
All right.
Rock and roll, guys. Have a good show.
All right. Thanks for dropping in, Vahagan.
We'll catch it on the way home.
All right, brother. All right.
Brought to you with no commercial interruptions, by the way.
Mike, I'm going to throw your comment up here because I'm sure Mozman's still watching it.
Nikon should be paying all of us for the free advertising we're giving them.
Yeah, they should. They should. Roy says Z lenses are more interesting than Z cameras. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the guys in Australia get this stuff before we do. They're closer to Japan.
Well, they're definitely getting it, and a lot more of it versus England.
Oh yeah,
England seems to be getting the screw job to them like constantly. They're getting nothing.
that is so true. Europe is having a hard time.
Man.
Well, the two biggest markets for Nikon right now are China and the United States.
Welcome, sir. I'm glad you finally made it for a live stream. So we're open. It's open topic tonight. You guys are driving the topic, although I probably went on a rant there that ate up a lot of that. So Long Rider is Nikon's #1 salesman. Long Rider's a good guy. I like
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And Roy Sands.
They're asking Z-Wade if he's still having issues with his Z9 eye tracking. If he's still on, that would be interesting to know if you just downgraded the firmware to 2.0 or if you found out what the problem was.
So did Z make an appearance in the chat? I missed it.
Yeah, he's in. If you go over to the very top, he's like 4 down right now.
Mr. Z, you have the link. You need to get in here or we're going to ignore you in the chat. Not a donut. Got a brownie tonight. No CBD in it.
I was going to say, is it one of those Barney Miller brownies?
Yeah.
That was one of the best episodes when Fish had the brownie and got a little bit funny.
The Z30. Yeah, you know what? I've seen a few of the videos so far, people playing with it. Z went back to 2.0. Z, I got to believe you just did something in the firmware update because it didn't do it. I mean, it's not the update itself because my camera's working fine. I mean, so many other are. I haven't heard anybody having a problem with it except for maybe they messed up in the firmware update. I'm always really, yeah.
Chuck, when I went to do the update on mine, I must have gotten a camera with the 2.0 already incorporated because that's what the firmware was showing when I went to incorporate the update.
You may have.
My camera was delivered in June last month, so I'm thinking it already had 2.0 incorporated.
Yeah.
It may have. Well, I mean, it did or it didn't. If you looked at the firmware and it was 2.0, then obviously, yeah, it's already done at the factory.
I wonder where that cutoff took place. I mean, where in the production cycle that might have happened. I'd just be curious to know when that hit.
Sorry, I had to answer Greg Wilson's question there. Where's the coffee?
Well, the thing is, they got to decide if they're going to have a big firmware upgrade or whatever. They got to decide if I'm sure because it's not that hard to do that they're not going to try to go to their distributors and have the inventory brought back to the factory to update it. They're just going to say, we make it pretty easy to do it. Let the customer do it. I doubt that they pull much back unless it hasn't left their factory yet.
I'm thinking that it left the factory that way.
It is 2.1, Jeff. It is. The new one is 2.1.
Yes.
That only takes 6 minutes to download.
It's a lifetime when you think you've done something wrong, though.
No, I know it's 2.1. It just Paul's talking about when he got his camera, it had 2.0 on it already when he bought it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it had the new firmware coming out of the factory.
Well, given that the 2.0 is supposed to take 30 minutes to download, I'm a very happy camper.
Absolutely, you're right, because that was kind of painful, actually. I don't know why, but firmware updates always I don't know. It kind of worries me when I'm doing. I'm afraid I'm going to hit a button or something, do something wrong.
Well, what I
Z-Wave
didn't
photo.
like is it did change. It did go in and mess with it, and they warned you it did go in and change some settings. So if you did a lot of custom settings and stuff, I needed to go back and check everything. And I forget specifically what I had to change, but I did have to reestablish some settings that I had before I did download that firmware 2.0.
Hey, Yaman, thanks for dropping by, buddy. And yeah, man, I hate to see you have to go, but you got to go do what you need to do, man.
Take care, Yaman.
I don't know. Did you any of you guys hear of the guy? I watched his video. I stumbled across it. Or you know what? I think it might have been Henry Hudson might have had a link to this guy's YouTube channel called the Monochrome Memoirs. And he's a wedding photographer.
Oh, yeah.
And I should have mentioned this was when Vahagan was on, because he has a title out there now called 54 Jobs in Running with the Z 50 millimeter f1.2s Z lens. And it's interesting because he basically says that when he's shooting the weddings, he's not doing eye tracking. He shoots at their chest, and he's not looking for every necessarily eyebrow or eyelash hair to be perfectly sharp, and it's just his style. But I was really surprised to hear somebody say that he does not shoot at using the eye detect autofocus at all.
Yeah. He's happy with what he's shooting, and that's great. I'm really happy for him. It's serving him well. But he took a little hiatus from YouTube for a while. He just came back with a couple of videos, one of them being the one you mentioned.
Yeah.
Does he deliver his product to the client all in monochrome?
I guess some he does. I don't know.
That'd
be a good question on his channel.
See his work. I just watched the video, but I didn't go back to look at old videos that he did.
Okay, so here's that question. I think it's somebody misinterpreted me, and it's not just you, somebody else. Does anyone know the new registered camera the Nikon bring possibly in the fall or announcing the fall? What are your guesses? So what I was saying earlier is, unless there's a new report on Nikon rumors that I'm not aware of, they had mentioned, this has been before the Z30 announcement, that there were 2 cameras registered by Nikon earlier in the year. And it turns out one of them was the Z9. So that only left one other that was unknown. I don't know why we didn't know that one of those was a Z9, but anyway, so we got the Z30. That would account for the second camera that was registered. Don't know about any others right now. So, but I still feel like we're going to see another full frame body. I know a lot of people are waiting for the D500 equivalent, and I have no idea. Remember, Nikon surprises. I've said this over and over. Nikon surprises with the D5 announcement, which we knew we were getting through Nikon rumors. And at the same announcement, they brought out the D500, which we weren't expecting. That was a surprise to us. So
I don't let him see
it could happen again, I would say.
You know, he likes to talk.
Hello, Diana.
Hello, Diana.
We're going to get Diana to come on the show because we get audio and video with her.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding, John. Just kidding.
Ha. She knows what she's doing, Chuck.
Yeah. Let's see. Can't put my finger on it, but something is up with monochrome fella. I like that kid, but he doesn't. What is it? Didn't seem himself. Yeah, Long Rider, I think he just got burnt out on the whole YouTube, trying to do the YouTube and shoot at the same time. But you may be right. Maybe there's another issue, and that was just what he told us. Don't know. I like him too. He's a good guy. Let's see. Here we go. Z-Wade photo. You two need to link up, Albert, you and Zach, because Z likes a lot of the older lenses and things like that. And with your unique lenses, I think you two could have a ball chatting back and forth. Let's see. You made the right choice in going back. Okay. Yep. Mozman. I like monochrome too. And I'm also apprehensive, almost like it's not real. I feel you, Long Rider. Okay. So you too, Mozman. I didn't really pick up on it, but I'll rewatch his video to see. Wolf Tick. Here we go. Wolf Tick videos. Currently camping and shooting sunsets and long exposure right now. And you know what? I just thought of something. Sorry, I didn't mean to catch myself in. Oh, so you got to go. Okay. All right, John. I'm going to throw your comment up here. There for a minute, I think your audio was working pretty good. Go ahead and try it real quick.
All right, testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Look at
now
that,
you're
look
good.
at that.
Hallelujah.
You're going out to lunch and now it's good. What is this? This is
All right, then I'll stay.
I don't know if Diana's going to go for that.
No, she's in her office. So it's working.
There you
yeah,
go.
now you're fine.
All
I
right,
guess
all
you
right, okay,
I guess you
all
needed
right.
to go out for lunch like an hour ago.
All right, then I'll stick around.
I'm glad it's working, man. I figured
No,
if we wait long enough, it might.
It has to clear up. So it has to do with the internet, I'm sure. It has to. You know.
Oh, man. All right. So glad that you can get in here. You probably got a lot to say now.
Yeah, because now what you have to do is fill in all the gaps of all the things you said earlier where we were trying to figure out what you were saying.
Oh, okay. Oh. So recently I've been watching some of the opinions out of YouTube, you know, and this eyelash detection and all this whatnot, it's just over the top, right? And I just don't get it.
Yeah. I don't either. I don't either. But I think Nikon gets another body or two out there with some of this new tech, then all that's going to go away because people are just not going to want to hear it anymore. Nikon's on a roll, but they've got to get there first. Nikon's got to do that. But more important, Gustavo wants to know what's the issue with the story behind the gecko.
Oh, so about 20 minutes ago, Diana kind of like freaked out, and I'm going, "What the hell is?" She says, "There's a lizard in the sink." So I went and looked in there, and so there's a little fella in there. He can't get out because he can't, hook up on the stainless steel.
Yeah.
So I picked him up, and then I showed you guys. Then I stuck him on my MacBook, So he stuck around on my screen for about 20 minutes, listening to Chuck, and the rest of you guys. And then he had it and took off.
I saw her run past you behind you, and you flipped the gecko or whatever it was. My wife screams when she sees a fly, and I have to go. No matter what I'm doing, I have to drop everything to go kill the fly or the bug.
Oh, we get a lot of these geckos. They live around here, and they come out, eat a little scraps and a little toast and whatnot, and then they get stuck in the sink because they can't grip the stainless steel wall, the stainless steel sides, because they want to go inside and eat stuff inside the drain catch.
Yeah.
So the other day, I caught one. I caught a little baby one. The cutest little guy. He's like transparent. It's about like 1.5 inches long. Just a little baby.
Man.
Yeah, Long Rider. The images that I took were between 6:30 and 6:45 in the morning. Sunrise was probably around 6 in the morning, and But I do when I'm shooting the white birds. I mean, I try to. The trouble is, if you're just shooting all white birds, then you can sit there and say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I don't blow out the whites. It gets a little harder if you get a group of birds that are all different colors. If you get the wood storks that are white and black, and you get the pink Rosetta spoonbills and the white birds, then it's like
Yeah.
it's a real challenge then.
Yeah, but I think your photos, I don't know if you edited them differently or what, but I think they were even better than usual. I think that's what he was saying as well. I don't know what it was. That's why I made the comment. Great photos, man. They were just spectacular. All right, I've been called out by the boss. Only nasty bugs like stink bugs, beetles, or moths. Yeah. Well, either way, you're right. But you still call me out to come and chase a fly that may have somehow broken the barrier and got into the house. But yes, definitely other bugs.
Z Wade.
There he is.
Z Wade. There he is, man.
Could I interest you guys in a bite of a disgustingly salty coney?
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
I'm glad you didn't talk about bugs.
Hey, Daw, I just bought the 24 to 70 2.8, and I have the 24 to 70 f4, and yeah, there's a market difference. Not necessarily in sharpness. The f4 is a very sharp lens, but there is a little more character in the 2.8, as you might imagine. So I'm happy that I got it, because that's probably the lens I shoot with more often than any other lens.
Then how come you were trying to convince me to buy a 24 to 120 when we were at B&H on Monday?
Hey, brother, it wasn't me. It was Art or Ted. Ted was all about selling that lens to you. He just about did it too, didn't he?
Yeah, he got pretty close. I was about to pull the credit card out.
Oh,
I would still get it, Paul. I have it. It's a great lens. It's a great walk around lens.
Well,
yeah.
I've got a 35 to 1 in that video. If you saw it, me and the camera, I had a 35 to 150 Tamron on the FTZ2. I kind of figured that not quite, but all of the focal range was covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So as far as
It may be my first Z lens purchase, though.
you know, Roy made a good point here. If you need that extra stop of light, but more than that, Roy, I have to say that I think there is a little more character in the 2.8 lens, as it should be. There should be something to differentiate it besides just 2.8. But I do believe there is a little bit different, some other character about the 2.8 lens. But then again, I'm a 24 to 70 shooter predominantly. Hello, David Stewart. I passed you up a minute ago. Good to see you in here, brother. So here's something else. So let's talk about that. The 28 to 75 Z lens is a good value, but very soft, wide open. Okay, but what was I going to say, Roy? Help me out here. Read my mind real quick, Roy. Where did I go? Where did I lose it here?
Oh, God, Chuck, that's disgusting.
Oh, man. So talking about F-mount glass, and everybody wants to talk about that. And it does work extremely well on the Z bodies with the FTC adapter. Except for me, I've had a couple of issues, but I think that's just my lenses. But anyway, it works extremely well. If you're not going to do video, then the F-mount glass is fantastic if all you're doing is shooting stills. But if you're going to do any video, that's where the Z glass shines for other reasons, but it really shines when you're doing video because it is absolutely silent. And I know because I used to shoot I had the studio set up in the basement and I was shooting with F-mount glass. I just had to set the focus and sit real still so I didn't move in and out of focus because those lenses hunting was unbearable.
Yeah, I think Roy brings up a good point that the F-mount glass does work a lot better on the Z9 typically than it does on the Z6 or the Z7.
There you go, John.
Oh, I got a
Oh,
chance
wow,
to see
Brunei.
at this fashion walk that I did today.
Yeah.
The other photographer had one of those Megadap things.
Yep.
I wish
Yeah, yeah.
I wish that an FTZ could be that thin. It is seriously like an 1/8 inch thick.
I know. I know.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it's seriously. I mean, it's this damn. I mean, it's thinner than the straw.
But I don't think no, the Megadap doesn't work. That Megadap adapter doesn't work with all glass though.
Yeah,
I think
just
it's yeah, I think because Sony's glass, their what am I trying to say here? Sensor to glass flange distance is low enough that they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but where's Albert? Albert, get in here, man. We're talking about Megadap adapters. That guy is the Megadap adapter guru.
He's
Like
got
you
like
said, he
over
has-
100 of them.
We should call him like Mr. Transformer. He's like a transformer. He can just take anything and turn it into something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Albert, where are you when we need you?
Where are they made in those mega things, mega
China.
adapters?
It's
You
a
know,
Chinese company.
I had one of those autofocus things for manual lenses, and so I put a Leica M lens on my Z6, and it lasted like 24 hours. The whole Healy arc, the Healy coil busted on it. Didn't work very well, but I want to try one of those mega adapters.
So Mozman and Vahagan are interviewing people, having a ball. It's got to make the video, Moz.
They need to set up a chair like Steven Crowder. Nikon is king. Changed my mind.
So David says he agrees with Daw. Or at Daw. He said he agrees with Wolf Tick. Yeah, I'll get it straight. I have a 24 to 120. Don't need the extra stop. When I do, I use a prime, and there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, the 24 to 120 is a cool lens. If I was a rich man, I'd have it too. Then I'd be always debating on which one I was going to carry.
Well, was it Ted or the guy we were talking to in the Nikon kiosk who said he thought it was a great walking around lens?
Well, it is because you have that extra focal length to play with, you know, out to 120 millimeter. The 24 to 70 would be a great walk around lens too, because you're probably going to shoot it maybe 5.6 or something, unless you're doing something really fancy as far as a street photography lens. But the sharpness in that lens is incredible in that 24 to 120.
Yeah, when I put it on the Z9 in the store, I was impressed, but I had to restrain myself from pulling out a credit card.
What was it? Wasn't the 24 to 120? What was the one that I did on my channel that I hated? It's the only Z lens I hate. Was it it's something to 200? Is it 24 to 200?
Yeah, there is a 24 to 200, which is not
that lens.
Everybody's cup of tea, let's say.
I found that lens to absolutely suck, which shocked me because even the cheaper, even the 16 to 50 DX kit lens is pretty nice, all things considered. But that 24 to 200, I was like, dude, what is this piece? It could be because it was a rental copy that I rented to try out, but maybe it was goofed up or something like that. But I hated that lens. But I've heard the 24 to 120 is nice.
You weren't happy about. Charles is saying you didn't like the 85.
Well, no, I didn't hate. There's only one lens I hated, and it was that 24 to 200. The 85, I was like, it's okay. It's really good at portraits and nothing else, in my opinion. It's not like very versatile. Like an 85, you should be able to do a lot of stuff with, but that lens is kind of obnoxiously a portrait lens.
Oh, somebody asked about the phone number tonight. I guess whoever it was may be gone by now.
1-900 Chucky Talks.
There you go, Mr. Z Wade. There you go.
Yeah, make some money, Chuck.
Oh, thank you, Da. Hang on.
Hey, I like those. Hey, Z Wade, I like those bikini ones, man.
A lot of
What's with that? Obviously,
that-
you're not married.
yeah. Well,
Greg Corker, that lens is not soft. The 24 to 120.
With that, on that note, I have gone out on dates with girls before, and there's always the conversations you have at my age are, do you want kids? No. Are you religious? Not particularly. And I have to introduce right off the bat, it's like, hey, I'm a really good fine art nude and bodyscape photographer, and you might need to be okay with that. And most of the time, they think they are, but
Yeah, until you ask them to take their clothes off.
Then you go and show them the pictures of the other girls you trust, right? And then you're fine.
Hey, I invite everybody to go to my website and see how classy and tasteful my work is, but they just don't particularly like it. So yeah, are you married? Are you religious? Am I okay with you shooting? Like, it's not my fault. I'm good at that stuff, and there's not a lot of it going around in my area.
So what do you think of Matt Granger's?
Matt Granger teeters on this edge between some of his stuff is really classy and some of it I would consider trashy for my portfolio, but for somebody else's portfolio, if that's their niche, go for it. Like, I don't tell anybody not to shoot something, but in my portfolio, some of it would look trashy compared to my other stuff. Because my other stuff is kind of blatantly.
He's making some pretty good coin out of that.
Yeah, he's making a lot more money selling the training than he is selling any of his work. I think.
I would love to see the ratio of photographers versus not photographers that buy those programs. You know what I mean? I mean, I do a little bit of that.
It does,
but
it does real well. Go ahead.
I don't charge $500 for the course because it's not a course, but like, for example, I have one that I'm editing right now, and it's an absolute nightmare because I have to do a bunch of blur. But I did a implied nude shoot using cake icing and sprinkles. It was the model's idea. Same model for the bikini shoot, actually. And that one, I have the censored one that's going on YouTube. I'm taking a gamble here. And the other one is going to go on my website. It's dirt cheap, but if anybody buys it, I'll just split it with the model, because that one, it's a lot longer, took a lot longer to edit, and taking a page out of Granger's book, why not?
Hey, Greg. Yeah, I can't imagine, man. It's probably a hoot with those two interviewing you on the street.
I can't imagine cleaning up the sprinkles from my Z Wade shoot. Hey, Z Wade, you got to vacuum all those sprinkles.
It was an absolute mess. I ended up cutting it out of the video because I wanted it to be like there's a lot of funny conversation that happens at shoots that I choose to leave out because it would come off. It comes off with personality, but it comes off as kind of unprofessional too. But at one point, we were she's like, I need help with the sprinkles. And so I'm doing this, trying to get them to stick to the icing on her backside. And it's like, it's not working. And I'm like, wait a second, we're working harder, not smarter. I was like, just lean over and I'll just do this. And I mean, they were just getting everywhere. And I told her, I was like, you're going to be finding these things in between your toes and everywhere else for the next 6 months. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to be bleeping sprinkles for the next week. And I just died laughing. But I didn't want to put that in the video because I don't know. It's too, I don't know. I want them to come off, especially going on YouTube. Like, you really have to drive home that it's an educational experience. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if it's censored or not. They'll just shut it down. And I already have one warning because of an editing video.
I was watching when you just disappeared.
Yeah,
Mara,
Chuck messaged me and he said they got you, buddy.
I'm here. I'm just enjoying watching him because I loved the video that he made. Right. Hey, that was nicely done, man. That's a nice looking model, and I think you did beautiful tight cropping, and it was just fantastic. It looked great.
That video did not do as good as I thought it would, though. Actually, the follow-up video did way better.
That's
which
because you were.
shocked me.
That's because you were trying to educate. Don't educate when you have a pretty model, right? You have to.
Well, no,
You have to.
I'm talking about the actual shoot that was all about the pictures and like the hard rock music. It didn't do as good as the follow up. It shocked me.
The follow up
Hey.
is what people really want to watch. No one wants to watch like you trying to tell them how to do it.
But no, but that video did. I'm saying that video where I was talking about what went into the shot is doing better than the actual shoot.
Really?
I think it's because since I like most of my viewership are, 40s plus are the majority, and it's mostly males. I feel like guys can get away with
wonder
it with their
why.
wives. It's like
Yeah,
I can't just look at this. I can't look at the pictures, but I could easily tell my
Yeah,
wife, no,
that's too
I'm
funny.
learning how he achieved it.
Oh,
Yeah, that was you guys don't even know. That was a miserable shoot. It was like 104 and the most reflective, white sand. Oh, it was hot. Oh god, it was hot.
there you go. There you go. Z. Matt Granger's always
I do like his YouTube content. I've never visited his website, but I do like his YouTube content. And like whenever he does like the behind the scenes stuff, it's really funny. Like he has a funny personality, and so do his models. But and I've always found him to be pretty fair in his reviews too. So I appreciate what he does.
I went on 2 of his walkabouts.
Oh really? What's he like in person?
Oh, he's a nice guy. He is. Let's see. One was in Hong Kong, and one he came here to Malaysia, and that was in the beginning. But he's a very, very pleasant guy. But my question is, how's your wife hang with this? I mean, I'm telling you, because he's married to a Hong Kong girl, and I'm telling you, they can be some real ball busters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought he was single.
No
he's
way.
married.
No, he's
He's
married.
been married the whole time.
Yeah.
Hey, David Stewart and Roy Bigsby, talking about me being in a bikini. Why don't you stay out of my personal life, okay? What I do off YouTube is
That's on one of Zach's first videos he ever did.
the very first one was the 70 to 200 time run.
Oh man.
And you want to get some hits?
Oh yeah. Well, he wants to get hits, but he doesn't want to get hit on.
Yeah. Trust me, I step into a bikini and the shoot turns sour real fast.
Oh yeah. But
Have you
get
guys
some
ever
hits.
seen that meme? There's the funniest photography meme on the internet is like at the top of the picture it says do you do nude photography? And then the picture is of a model fully clothed, but a male photographer in tidy whities taking a picture. It's the funniest picture.
Hey, so Mike Norton says he's talking about FX, F mount glass and everything. Man, I'll tell you what, it's a great time if that's what you want to shoot, because there are some deals to be had out there on telephoto lenses and everything in F mount and bodies. There's some great deals on bodies and lenses right now.
Okay, Chuck, I can't find a D500 and 500 PS. I don't see the price going down.
Well, the D500 just recently kind of bumped up a little bit, all because of the talk about the possible mirrorless version of it and that not coming to fruition. Not to mention the fact that people that bought that lens bought it for a reason and are still using it. It's not like other bodies. I said bodies, because there's nothing to compare with.
There's nothing to upgrade to if that's your niche.
In DSLR or mirrorless.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to move on to another brand.
Yeah.
But right now there isn't.
Hey, John, I know where there's one right near me in New Jersey I can pick up for you for exactly $1,000 American. I've seen the camera. I've held a D500, right?
D500. That's a good price. No, because a friend of mine was looking for one. I said can't be found.
I can get him one for
Really?
a grand even, and if you want to put him in touch with me, I'll pick it up for him, pay for it, and he can pay me.
All right, let me see what I can do. if you're still interested. That's cheap, man.
I guess I just need to
That's,
let go of mine. I don't know why I'm holding on to this stuff. I need to let go of it.
Chuck, do it. Do what I did. Just offload it, man.
Yeah.
It's
but
such a relief.
if you can get good dough for it, why not?
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the problem is you're not getting good dough for it anymore.
Well,
D500 is a pretty sought after.
that's one of those things about, as far as cameras and lenses go, F mount and DSLRs, everybody wants to get what they paid for it or get close to it or whatever in their, with the lenses or the body. And there are very few lenses or very few camera bodies that sell for more afterwards than they were originally, they originally cost. But I see it this way. I got my fun out of it. I got my use out of it, and I'm willing to take a hit on the fact that I got to use it, enjoy it, and just now it's time to move on.
Well, it's like I got the old F mount 105 macro, which was about $1,000.
Yeah.
And it's been conditioned. And I'm like, oh, I'd like to think I could at least get $500 for it. No, can't get $500 for it. KEH only give me $400 for it. It's like, so do I want to sell a lens that was $1,000 that's in mint condition for $400? So I'm sitting on it, even though I got the 105, the new 105 Z mount.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't need two macro lenses of the same focal length, but
Wolftick is saying the same thing. He may let go of his D500. I'm not shooting with it anymore. I have no desire to go out and shoot with it because, it's all F mount glass, and I guess I could shoot it on the 400 2.8, which that's a lens that I'm going to let go of. It's an older 2.8. It's a D model. But the AF is still fantastic in it. I don't think there's any dust or mold in it. I'll have to check it again just to be sure. But, it's a lens that I enjoyed for a while. And now, I'm going to sound like the wimps I beat up all the time, because camera bodies are too heavy. But that friggin' lens weighs a ton. It's like holding a Volkswagen on the end of the camera.
Yeah. Been there.
well, it's not balanced.
Yeah. No, but obviously
balanced.
you shoot it on a tripod. It's not something you walk around. Let me heave this thing up here and take a photo. Don't move.
I still buy AIS lenses.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing, I know we keep talking about buying and selling gear, right? A lot of people ask these questions, especially on my channel for sure with Canon. Same advice. It's like if you have a DSLR that you've had for at least 2 to 3 years, and you don't have between 60 and 100,000 actuations on it, you didn't use that camera at all. You really shouldn't be getting a new one, right? So that's where the need versus want comes in. Now, if you want it, go get it. Because usually people will ask the question, do you really need it? I think that should describe it for you. And are you really seriously using this, or are you just collecting it just to, have a status symbol like, I got it. Look, here, I own a D850. So what? What are you producing with it? That's what's really important. So
for me, I got the D500 just because I was going to use it for the telephoto lenses, and it served its purpose for that. And I also wound up with the 1.7 the TC 1.7. I know that's the one nobody wants, but I actually had pretty good luck with it.
I loved it. 1.7. I loved it, man.
It wasn't the 2, so it didn't have all the bad characteristics of the 2X, and it was a little more distance than the obviously than the 1.4. But with that and the D500 on that 400 millimeter, that was that was quite a bit of focal length there.
Right. There's a question on your chat that Charles Davis is asking. I really like my 5D Mark II, wondering if it's worth upgrading to the 5D Mark IV. If you're really asking the question, then you shouldn't, right? Go back and look at how many actuations you got, because I still have a 5D Mark II with over 150,000 actuations on it. Most of my DSLRs have hit now, other than the 1DC bodies, which are more film video oriented. They are well into the 200,000 to 300,000 actuations. So you can upgrade. Yeah, it is going to give you more resolution, higher tech, but the 5D Mark II still produces remarkable results. It's still a 21 megapixel camera. It's full frame, so it just doesn't have all of the bells and whistles on the latest autofocus system. So if that answers his question.
For me, it's in there. He said like he loves it. Dude, ride it until the shutter just flies out the front, If you
The
love
problem
it,
is, Z-Wade, the freaking shutter don't let up. It was rated at 100,000, and
Right.
and I got like 160 on this one.
Well, that's like the D4s. They were rated at 400,000, but you can buy them all day with like 2.5 million actuations on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like a safety net for them. It's like, 150,000. They always last longer than that. My D610, I think it was rated at like 150, and I think I did 400 before it failed.
Hey, so here's a good question by Gustavo. Siri just popped up because I said something close to, well, I'm not going to say it. Or she'll come back. Do you think the Nikon plan was for the Z400 4.5 to replace the 500 PF?
No.
What do you guys think?
Absolutely not.
The 500 5.6 PF is too new a lens.
The 400 4.5 is catered to an APS-C camera, so you could say I have a 600 millimeter equivalent at f4.5, and it's 5 times cheaper than what the 600 f4 is going to be when it comes out.
Yes, that's
what it's for.
That's why I was so sure we were going to see that APS-C Pro body come out, because yes, if you ask me, that's what that lens is aimed at. And for somebody that just wants 400 millimeter, on a budget, but why didn't they do a 500 millimeter version of it? Because that would be the equivalent of the F mount, obviously. So I'm thinking the same thing, Jeffrey. I think that this is an APS-C lens intended for APS-C. So you get that 600 millimeter equivalent. I agree. So we still may see that camera before others.
Plus that 400 is not a PF lens anyway, so it's not the same technology.
Well, no, but I don't think that.
Light, but it's very light.
Yes, so I don't think the PF was all about just the technology. It was about reducing the weight in the lens.
Yeah,
with PF, and like you said, this one's already very light, so it's going to be interesting to see here. Again, I think the rest of this year, I think over the next 18 months, it's going to be pretty incredible. And I'm not just talking about Nikon. I'm talking about all brands.
So how does a PF lens act or not act? What kind of results do you get once you add teleconverters to them?
They're extremely good. The 500 is extremely good. I thought everybody. What about you, Jeff? You own it.
Well, I don't have the 2.0. I've used it with the 1.4, and I'm very happy with it. I don't own a 2.0, so I can't speak to that. But I do like it with the 1.4. But I don't typically end up using the teleconverter. I try to use it without it, but it is decent with the 1.4. There's no doubt about it.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
I mean, if you shoot it natively without a converter, I mean, I can get a picture of a bird, and to me, when you shoot a bird and you're shooting the eye, it's that outer beyond the eyeball. It's that initial ring that goes around the eyeball that is all segmented, and when you nail that, and you can see every little line in that around the eyeball, it's incredible. It's incredibly sharp.
Awesome. Yeah, Canon has something similar. Well, they've had it for many years, which is the DO lenses, the diffractive optics. They don't use Fresnel, the Fresnel concept. They use diffractive lens technology. It almost looks like a little spider web. And same thing to reduce weight. And I have the 400 f4 of that. Very light. I mean, it's like a joke on how light it is. But you got a 400 f4 prime. with a 2x, not so, that might be really pushing it on a high resolution body, but with a 1.4, it does remarkable.
Hey, I have a question, guys. What's
Yes,
it
sir.
gonna be? 100, 400, 4.5. Which one? Or keep both?
I think that's a keep both.
If you can, yeah, I would have both. I'll tell you. And not just because I got the 1 to 400 before the 4.5 400 was announced. The 1 to 400 to me is more versatile than what I would shoot, especially events, because I'm one of those people, I can't run back 20 feet or run forward 60 feet. I
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
focal range from 1 to 400 because I used to shoot the 80 to 400 a lot doing motocross and other events. So to me, it just makes more sense for me, but that's just me.
Well,
I don't think, I don't know what the sharpness is going to be like, at 400 compared to the 1 to 400. I've seen a couple of videos, the early teaser videos that came out. I don't know, but the 1 to 400 still checks more blocks for me than the 400. However, if I could afford to have them both, I'll tell you right now, John, I'd have them both.
If you can't afford it,
If I could, if I can't afford it,
can't.
for me again, it's the 1 to 400. But I wouldn't want to tell somebody that. That's just for me. It's
Yeah.
convenient for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think the 1 to 4, and this may sound strange, a 1 to 4 is really a good lens for a landscape. I used to do a lot of landscape photography, and a 1 to 4 is a great range for just trying to pull in, a section of a mountain or, that type of thing, and bring things closer to you. Most landscape guys aren't throwing a 600 on their cameras to do that. They're using a 70 to 200 or the 1 to 4 would be really good as well for that. Extract something from the landscape, bring it in closer, and that's a great lens for that.
And then you can also do stacking, right? If you're going to do landscapes, you can actually stack images across.
Yeah.
And the compression that you get out of the 1 to 400, you will not get out of a wide angle lens. So it brings a very different perspective, especially if you're going to stack images.
I've actually done that. Excuse me, with the 70 to 200, and put the images together. And you're right. It is a different look. It's pretty fantastic when you do it. A lot of people are doing that with telephoto lenses for landscape photography. Hey, Wolf Tick, I'm with you, man. I like that. I'm in the I want category myself.
Yeah.
I really do think that 400 4.5 though. If I had an APS-C body, which I owned 3 of them at one time, I don't anymore, but when I did, boy, that 400 4.5 for me would be an absolutely no brainer. I'd be on the list right now if I had an APS-C.
Hey, I just want to let everybody know this is incredibly important. Almost emergency status. Nikon Z9 animal eye tracking works great on goats, just in case everybody was wondering.
Goat tracking?
Oh, good.
Well,
I'm going to
I was
goat
going to
country.
tell them it's good for gators too. I think they have gator eye detect too. I mean, they got to add that to the list.
It didn't do particularly exceptional on black horses with black eyes. It basically kind of reverted to this area instead of the eye, but that's a pretty tough shot anyway.
Does it do the eyelash of the goat?
That's the question.
It's actually doing the iris.
Funny you should say that.
That's the question. Eyelash detection.
Yeah.
Greg Wilson, you should reach out to Jared Polin and ask him his opinion.
Does anybody want it?
I saw something in the title of his last video where he said, and I was right about the Nikon autofocus, and I could not talk myself into going and watching the video. I'm like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not worth
Hey,
it. It's not
Jeff,
worth it.
Jeff, I watched that
Exactly.
video. He said nothing of importance about that issue. Nothing.
Nothing.
That was a typical clickbait title.
I totally agree.
So here's another reason you might want the 4.5 over the 1 to 400. Getting that extra stop in the third light for low light photography, because you're at what is it, 6.3 on the long end? No, 5.6 on the long end on the 1 to 400. I can't remember now on the lens.
You know, back in the day when I used a 400 2.8, like the one you got, Chuck,
Yeah,
that lens was absolutely perfect for the most difficult type of photography,
yeah,
and that is shooting press conferences.
yeah,
Shooting a press conference is so boring, and you got to make it so interesting that the 400 2.8 was the only thing that could do it, because I could place the subject who's just a talking head
right,
and go to an angle where there's something behind that person, like I don't know, signage or whatever,
right,
and blow it out and have that talking head come out
right.
and create a little bit of interest in that picture, so the newspapers will pick it up.
So I actually did some
400
video
2.8
with my 400, and it was, I mean, it's very cinematic too.
Yeah.
If you're good at pulling focus with the 400 millimeter and following geese as they swim off. But it is beautiful. I like the lens, but I'm just not doing that anymore. Now, like everything else, things come and go. There are some people that stick to one genre, and that's not me. I'm like Joe McNally, except for I don't shoot near even partially as well as Joe shoots, but I'm a generalist. I shoot so many different things. And the 400 is not important to me right now. The 400 2.8. Great lens, but
it's a backbreaker.
yeah.
The 1 to 4 is 5.6 at the long end.
Yeah. Okay.
But I got a lot of front pages though.
Yeah. Yep. How did you shoot that on a monopod back then, or what?
Okay, for example, I shot swimming, right? No, so I handheld it. You got to
Yeah.
handhold it, and that's the one. That's the old lens, man. The AFS. That thing, is like a M1 Abrams.
Yeah.
Right? It's so heavy.
Yeah.
But you he's point it and just let it rip, man, and put it
Yeah.
down and rip again.
All the guys shooting at the Open today, like on the 16th and 17th hole, when they were coming in to finish up the round today, they were all shooting like 400, 500s handheld.
Yeah, well, there you go. See, golf is a prime example. You got to use a 2.8 because you want the background blown out. Because when you shoot golf, whether you're at Augusta or St. Andrews or wherever, the newspaper or the audience isn't going to know where you are. It could be any
Right.
golf. So you use the 2.8 to find identifiers, so the viewer knows that yes, this was shot at Augusta. This was shot at St. Andrews. Now the background can be blur, it can be beautiful bokeh. It doesn't have to be sharp, as long as it identifies Tiger Woods or whoever that he or she is at St. Andrews or Augusta or wherever.
Walking across the bridge Friday.
Yep. They're all predicting that's his last appearance at St. Andrews.
He didn't say that, and he didn't stop. So there is a possibility. We'll see.
Well, he didn't make the cut. He was 9 over or something like that.
Well, I know, but what, 16 years from now, we'll be back at St. Andrews. He's going to be old, but Jack Nicklaus did it at, in his 60, he said his farewell. Doesn't mean he's going to be competitive then.
He'll be on the senior tour. He'll be on the senior tour by then.
He'll be on the senior tour in 4 years.
The guy to watch out for is Colin. Colin is a killer.
Which Colin?
Colin,
Farrell.
no, Colin. He's the guy who won the U.S. Open last year. That young Japanese American kid.
Oh, Hataki. I could have said his
Matsukawa
name.
or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah,
Matsuyama or whatever. Yeah,
that guy is killer.
you got so
watch
many
it.
young guns in golf right now that are just tearing it up. It isn't even funny. I mean, these kids, 24-year-old Cameron, not Smith, he's doing well too, but the 24-year-old Cameron Scott, I mean, he's 3 shots off the lead or 4 shots off the lead. I mean, come on. You know, you didn't hear about that until Tiger, broke that age barrier. So, yeah, and I don't want to get on golf because I know a lot of people probably care less. However, there's a lot of people shoot golf.
Hey, I tell you, if you can cut your mustard on golf, it's good money, man. I did golf for years, and there's a special technique about golf. You just can't shoot it, and you don't have to go to every single hole.
Yeah.
I've shot hundreds of them, but there's a special way to shoot.
Yeah.
But you need
I shot the member guest tournaments at the club I used to be a member of for both the men's member guest and the women's member guest, and the women appreciated it because our club didn't treat them very well, and they never had a photographer or videographer before.
Well, so the problem now is for pro sports of any kind or any other professional event that's going on, you have to have media creds to actually shoot them.
Yeah, well, that's of course.
But and those aren't easy to get anymore because they're in such demand because everybody that has a camera wants to get media creds so that they can be there to shoot. But go ahead.
So I had my AFP.
Yeah.
So you go to the media room and you set up and whatnot. Now, to shoot sports, most people, 99% of the people, shooters, do not know how to shoot sports. How do you shoot sports? If I told you, Chuck, okay, I need some shots from the golf. There's a very, very finite, particular way of shooting golf, as the football, as the basketball. And as a photojournalist, I got to do it all.
Yeah. You know what? You know how I would tackle that not knowing anything? The same way I tackled motocross. I watched everything that everybody produced and said, I want to do something different.
Okay. So here's a tip.
Find what they're not doing. Go ahead.
Let me give you a tip, you guys, on sports. You shoot for emotions, number one. Emotion. And what's that? Winning or defeat? Hole in one, triple bogey. 2 inches from the pin, misses. 15 feet from the pin, got it. You shoot that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You shoot that. Number two, got to have the ball in the air. Got to have the ball almost hitting the eye. The ball has to block the eyeball. Then you got a good shot. Sand. You're in a trap. Get that sand up in the air.
Absolutely.
And make sure that goddamn ball is in the air, and make sure that ball is near his face. Has to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get spiked. The editor's going to spike it. Number three, you don't need to go to all the holes. Make sure you're at the 17th to 18th. Make sure you have identifiers. Depending on your client, if your client is a bank or a beer company, you make sure that signage is in the background somewhere, and it does not have to be focused. So these are the elements, especially for golf.
Yeah.
And this is really priceless. What you just rolled off here. A lot of people will spend their entire life trying to figure this out, and not follow the advice because they know it all.
Well, I've been doing it for decades.
Right.
I'm with pro guys. I know a guy. That's all he does is he does the entire PGA circuit.
Yeah.
It's really funny because when I shoot fashion runway, people just think that, oh, well, it's all about the models. No, it's not. It's all about the clothing. It's all about the designers. It's all about the accessories. And that's what people forget. And to what you just said, the branding, right?
It's
If
the
you're shooting
branding.
for Chanel and if that name is not behind it, the
They
brand
don't
has
want it.
no
They
interest in
don't
your
want it.
photo.
They don't
I
want like Procter and Gamble, for example. You know Procter and Gamble, right? What do they produce? They produce hair products, correct?
Yep.
Shampoo, blah blah blah. So I get this. Well, why do you need 100 megapixel? Why do you need a phase one? Blah blah blah. Right? Well, your client is hiring you. They're paying you 100 grand to shoot a hair commercial, right? Hair ad. They want to see every strand of that hair. In fact, they want to see the DNA in that hair, and you can't do it with a full frame camera. I'm sorry. You shoot it with a
That's right.
4x5, 8x10, and you with 5,000 watt second flash in those days. Today, you
Well,
use a phase one 150 megapixel
right.
because the client is everything. They see DNA. They want to see every single strand of that hair because when it's reproduced and put on the ads, put on the billboards, put on light boxes at the department store, they want to see every strand of hair. That's
Yep.
why you have 150 megapixel cameras, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
I
most
wanted
people
to
don't understand.
I wanted to speak on the fashion runway thing. I did something like that tonight, and I did have to remind myself after the actual walk because we kind of broke off into individual things, and I had to step myself back from what I normally do because I like to do interesting portraits and stuff like that, and I had to stop myself and say I have to make sure that I represent the actual outfits, or they're never going to invite me back. The designers are going to be like, "Don't ever have that guy back."
Yeah, I even concentrate. If you go to like the 247 Media Group website, you'll see when you look at the portfolio, you'll see even the smallest things like the purse that they're carrying and the heels of the shoes that they're wearing and how the clothing fits around it. These are things that people don't think about, right? But that's what
Mhm.
attracts potential buyers because a woman looking at it is going to say, "Ah, I really love those shoes because that will go with the two other dresses that I have." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they can sell it.
Okay, as far as fashion, the top fashion photographer is Annie. Nobody can challenge her. Lebowitz has got it. Her client is like Louis Vuitton, and her conceptual photography, her colors are absolutely amazing. And if you look at her work, if she's doing a shoot for LV, the bag is a small part of the whole picture. A very small part. It's the big picture what attracts you to the LV bag. Now you take a look. You take a look at who she uses as a model. Hey, she used Gorbachev one time. She used Keith Richards on a bed, right? She is amazing. If you're into fashion, take a look at her. One suggests about fashion. If you want to shoot fashion, here's what you do. Costs nothing. Go get a copy of Italian Vogue magazine. All right? Italian Vogue. Not American Vogue, not European Vogue, Italian. Why Italian Vogue? Because twice a year, Italian Vogue comes out with a special with no ads, right? No ads at all. It's very expensive to produce. And you'll see the picture on the right side, and the left side is blank. It's just white. You know how much it costs to buy an ad with nothing on it? Why is it that way? Because the photographer and the and the product people want you to just take a look at that one particular full page. That's it. They don't want you to get distracted by anything on the left side. So from there, you study it, and then when you get hired or when you got an assignment, take a look. What are they looking at? What are they doing? Why is it like this? And I tell you, you gain a lot of experience. just from that. Or if you want to do photojournalism, you take a look at Time magazine, you take a look at all the periodicals and find out why is that geo different than Time? Why is Time different than Newsweek? Why is Sports Illustrated different than another sports magazine? And study all that. Then you come up with your own angle.
Yeah, absolutely. Understanding what's popular or positive out there is your start point, no doubt about that. Then if you think you can improve on it, then that's what people are going to do. I don't know if you can on everything, but
Well,
uh-oh.
it's a learning process, Chuck. You know,
Yeah.
you can, but we as photographers must see the world differently. We can't
Yes.
see it like every other person. We gotta take a look at it differently, and we see things that no other person can see. Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's who we are.
I don't want to
photographers.
break you away from this, but we got a question here. John Ishii, if you were shooting golf today, would you shoot 120 frames per second JPEG or 20 to 30 frames per second RAW?
Okay, very good question. I would shoot JPEG. Why? Because most of it's going to be for the web.
Yep.
All right. So I don't have time to sit there and mess with it. 120 frames per second, forget about it. You're a professional. You should be able to nail it in five frames per second because you know how the game works. You know when the stroke is going to happen. You know exactly when it's going to hit the ball. You know exactly what trajectory it's going to do. So why do you need it? Number one. Number two, 120 frames per second. Your picture's got to be out in 25 minutes. How are you going to cull through 125 frames per second at 2 seconds? That's 300 pictures, and you cannot tell the difference between any of this.
So
there's
let me
no
stop
way.
you there for a second. I understand all that, but explain why that is. Most people don't know how it works, how this works. If you're shooting golf for a publication or media outlet or whatever,
Mhm.
it's not like you take your film, if that were the case, or your cards home and
Okay.
sit down and
Okay.
put them on the computer. So
For example,
so it makes sense when they know why you're doing that.
okay. For example, if I got for a Golf Digest, for example, I know what they want. They're my client. I know what Golf Digest wants, so I kind of get a pretty good idea of what I want. So I already shot it before I even leave the house. I
Right.
know exactly what lens I'm taking, blah blah blah. Number
Right.
one. Number two, I set the camera, right? Those days, I'm not shooting 120 frames per second because they need the pictures out. They need it out in 45 minutes. Okay, so I can't shoot 120 frames per second because it's going to take too long to edit it and cull it, right?
See, this
Especially
is
if
the
you
part most people don't understand is you're giving those
well
images up immediately
immediately
while you're still out shooting.
they want it yesterday,
Yes.
right? Okay, so how are you going to cull through 300 pictures using a laptop in the media room? And each picture, when you're culling through it, each picture is the size of a postage stamp. Your brain is going to go dead, right? So forget about it. JPEG. What are they going to use the pictures for? Are they going to use it for the net? JPEG it, man. AP is all JPEG. What are they going to use it for? The net, newspapers.
Right.
They're going to use it for print. Print is what? 4 colors, CMYK. So you don't need RAW. You're going to sit there and waste your time trying to adjust RAW? That's
Yes.
insane. That's insane.
No,
You
but see, John, that's the reason I brought that up. So people that are shooting something like that, if you're ever going to do it, understand that if you're doing it for the right reason, unlike me that just got media credentials to go shoot a motocross event, I didn't have an editor waiting for that photo.
Well, if you
I
don't
can
have
take it all home.
yeah,
But if you're shooting it professionally, it's got to go out now. It's not something you're going to go call or anything else. It's got to go now.
No, because the whole game is he who goes out first wins.
Yes, but
All right?
that answers the question of why not shoot 120 frames per second. And I don't think anybody understood that you're not taking it home with you.
No, you're going so fast that it's slowing you down.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So if I can nail the shot in 5 frames per second, I'm a lot faster than the guy who shot 120 frames per second, and he's still in the media. I'm trying to call his pictures.
Yeah.
I'm already out.
Yeah.
I got it. I got to download. I got to upload it. FTP it. Bam, it's gone.
But most
Right?
people don't know that, John. That's the reason I brought it up. They don't understand that part of it.
Well, that's the thing, man. No, unless you've done it. I've done it. I've done it for years. So how do I find out? Somebody goes and tells me, "Hey, man, you got to hurry up." Oh, I'm still working on it. No, man, that picture's got to be out. The editor is gone.
That's part of the point that you were making. That's part of the point for that. Because if you know that, you can answer it. If somebody asks that question, you already know why you don't shoot at 120 frames per second, because you don't have time to call images.
And one other thing, and this is very important, because say you shoot Tiger Woods, right? And you got two shots, you got two pictures. That's all you need. Two pictures to send. Each one of those pictures, after you've edited and after you selected it, that you think is the right one for the job, for the paper, is that you got to write a caption. Now that caption is not just a who, what, where, and when. It has to be a synopsis of that event, and that takes more time. So you just can't put Tiger Woods at Augusta, July 15th, 2022.
So let me ask
you. You gotta say Tiger Woods.
So let me ask you this:
Woods XXX. Yeah.
So you've done this. Were you doing it in the film days? Is that when you were doing it?
No, I did it in digital.
Okay.
Digital days. Yeah,
so did you stop and go to the media center to download this, or pass it on to the editor?
During the film days, you take the film and you give it to the runner. The runner takes it.
Yes.
Right? I had to go take as soon as you finish, as soon as it's the end, they get the trophy, blah blah blah. You make a beeline to the media room and start editing. And send it off to Tokyo or Hong Kong or wherever.
Yeah.
To the head office, right? And now what you do is you're monitoring all the pictures going into the AP office, and you can see it come up.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you see your picture come up, then that means the photo editor has chosen that picture, and it's going out to all the subscribers. So within 10 minutes, the LA Times and New York Times, blah, 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 will pick up that picture and use it for the morning event. Okay. Nowadays, with the Z9 and all the A1 and all this, what happens is you're taking all those pictures are being wired straight to a photo editor, a remote editor in a different building or a different location. So you can go like crazy. And then they can sit there and call through 120 frames per second and let them choose. So the desker in Singapore or Hong Kong or New York or Tokyo, he's sitting there looking at 8 million pictures, trying to decide which one. So that leaves that section out of my hand. So I don't have to do it because it's going to a remote editor. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So during the match, their social media is already producing images. I can't think of the app that you can download, and you're watching golf on it and everything else. But my thing that I wanted to say here is all throughout the tournament, there are photos coming up of the tournament and things that are going on. Mm-hmm. So they have actual card runners now.
Well, no, they don't use a card runner. They have a remote. They have a remote editing desk.
Yes,
so
but
when you shoot, it goes directly to the desk.
Yes,
and then they edit, so you can go to the next one.
But I heard one of the guys that's covering golf in one of his discussions, on, I don't know what it was, a Golf Channel or whatever. And he was talking about that. Yes. I mean, they go to the media center or they go to the location now with Wi-Fi and everything else. If you have the connection out on the course, which I guess you do throughout most of the course, but they will actually run cards as well, is what he said. It's not uncommon.
Well, it's not uncommon, but AP,
But
AFP, Reuters. It's all done through Wi-Fi.
okay,
That's why
but
you got that huge.
we're not talking AP and Reuters anymore. I mean, yeah,
What are we
somebody's
talking?
probably shooting for them as well, but we're
What?
talking all the digests that are out there, all the other
Oh, yeah.
now
Okay.
social media platforms for golf
Okay.
and everything else. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me answer that question. All right. All these other digest magazines, big, larger ones, say Golf Digest, SI, will have both. They will both. They have their own shooters,
Yeah.
or they hire, or they buy from Getty,
Yeah.
or they subscribe, and they all subscribe to either AP or AFP or Reuters.
Okay.
So they cover they cover their ass by all of it.
Okay.
That's why you see very, very few staff photographers anymore. Very rare, because you don't need it. So the bigger periodicals, yes. Now, if you're working for the town newspaper, in some small newspaper, no, they probably won't have that. But they generally will be subscribed to one of the, AP,
Right.
or one, say, for example, AP. They'll subscribe to that. So those pictures will come up anyway, and they need a photographer. Because once you subscribe, you get all the pictures. They start coming up. So the editor of that newspaper will just pick it up for the morning edition.
So he also did talk about the fact that the smaller the media outlet that you're representing, the harder it is to get in the pool. And the other thing is that most have a delay on when they can actually post those photos or video.
Well,
So
it depends
AP
on
and I
the
guess
event.
all the others have priority, and then
Oh,
it's regulated by
of
the
course
event.
they do.
Yeah.
Of course they do. I mean, if you go to the Olympics, the betting is really stiff. I mean, if you're not a big guy, you don't get in.
Yeah.
There's just no way. It's impossible. But if you shoot in something, not of that caliber, it's okay. F1 car racing,
Yeah.
forget about it. All right.
Yeah.
Because when you go to, I've shot many F1s. F1 there's 3 different types of passes. Okay. One pass, you can go anywhere. The pits, everywhere. Other pass, you're restricted. You can't go to the pits. You can only go to corner A, B, or C.
Okay.
Third pass, sit in the stand. It's a guest pass.
Right. Yeah, and that carries over into most other things too. In motocross, there's there's paddock, there's all access, meaning the track and everything else, and then there's just news media that are stuck to outside the paddock or special. They can only interview and talk inside the paddock area or whatever. So yeah.
Well, yeah. So it depends on the event. If it's a small event, no big deal. But if it's the Grand Nationals, then it's a big deal. Then they're gonna vet more.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I jumped in on all this, but if you're shooting for one of the big outlets, as you say, whether it's Getty or AP or Reuters or whatever there is now, yeah, you're probably super limited, and golf especially. I guess I don't know what their pool looks like of media passes. I don't know how many. It seems like there's 1,000 of them out there, but I don't think it's quite as many as I assume.
Well, no, there's very, very limited. I mean, if you're doing PGA, only PGA certified guys can go.
Yeah. And I also saw a video, a guy that shoots F1, and it took him like 7 years to get into the fold, to get into, and I don't know what position.
Well, if F1 is coming to say, I don't know, to Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
They come every year. Then the FIA will give out, say, 4 vests.
Right.
Okay. And these 4 vests, are given to, say, AP. And AP gets maybe 1 or 2, Reuters gets 1, and they leave 1 for the local press. And then that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And then once you finish with the vest, it goes to the next venue. You know what I'm saying? The vest.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So all this is very similar. I mean, there are obviously differences between each motorsport or whatever, but yeah, same thing on motocross. And there are different vests for video than there are for stills.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can't cross the line and cheat the system
Right.
and take,
Well, It's
right.
like an aircraft. It's like an aircraft carrier, right? You got the guy
Yeah.
in the green, he does this. The guy in the red
Yeah.
does that. The guy in the yellow does this. It's similar. It's similar to that.
Right. Right. It's all very interesting. I guess the reason I wanted to jump in the middle of this is I just don't think people understand how that process works. You know, and why, again, going back to why you wouldn't do 120 frames per second. And I think it's obvious. It's obvious to everybody now because it's moving so quick. It's not like you take these photos home and you get to look through them and edit or do whatever.
No. You don't have the time.
I know that, but I'm not going to laugh at these people because they don't know that, a lot of people don't know that. They don't know how the process works. And
They don't understand. But
Yeah.
like in sports, you got to know the game.
yeah,
Right? Like soccer or football,
Yeah.
any of the field games, right? You go out and shoot, and you say you take a picture. You take this amazing shot of a linebacker,
yeah,
right? Amazing. So your editor is going to say, "What in the hell is this? Who is this guy?
yeah,
Who is this guy? I don't know. It's a great picture." Then he's going to start screaming at you, right? Now, like in basketball, they want to see a picture of Kobe Bryant doing a triple jump, dunk, right? But they don't want to see the left guard. You don't even know who the guy's name is.
So let me say this too. One, you're probably not going to get into a venue with a big long lens and a high speed camera. You're
No.
probably not. You're not going to be able to
No.
do that. However,
No.
if you're at some lower profile event, and
Yeah.
we have one coming up here where it's easy enough to go in and shoot from behind the fence like everybody else, where everybody else can go, and you can get away with that. Not with
Yeah.
not with
Yeah,
an
of
800
course.
millimeter lens because they're gonna say something about
Yeah,
that.
of course.
But my pointer is then you have the opportunity to shoot 120 frames per second. And yes, there is a possibility that you catch something that nobody else did because, with that many frames, there are that many different looks for almost the same movement or whatever. But the problem with it is you have no rights to those photos. And most people don't realize that either. You carry a camera in somewhere and shoot. You can't take those photos and earn anything, any income, or sell them or do anything like that. So I say this for cautionary reasons. Posting them on your social media site, probably not an issue. But even if you catch that 1 in a million shot, maybe you can send that to somebody and maybe they want it, maybe they don't or whatever from the venue or whatever.
Says who? Chuck, who says that you don't own it?
Well, you own it, but you can't sell it.
Says who?
The event. I mean, unless they say, "Hey, no problem. Anybody coming in can."
You show me in writing that picture. No, really, seriously, you show me in writing where they say no, that picture belongs to the.
I will.
US
I'll tell you what, John.
Motocross
I will
Society.
actually do that for you. I'll pull it up from
You do
motocross.
that, and
I
you
will.
show me.
I
Because,
will.
Hey,
Because I have some photos that I would love to be able to actually offer, and I can't because I don't have they reserve the rights to all those photos taken, and that's just the way it is. I have one-time use
you got
of them.
used in that contract, my dude.
Well,
What,
everybody else does too, huh?
Did you sign this? Did you
Yes.
sign this piece of paper? You did.
Yes.
Well, I
didn't have a choice, or I did have a choice. I could say, okay, I'm not going to shoot
Chuck, if you use it as practice, no big deal.
Yeah.
All right. But if you're doing it commercially, you want to make some money out of it, I definitely read the fine print on that sucker, you know.
Okay.
That's for sure. But if you just
I think I shall, because I have some fantastic photos of some fantastic.
Read the print, and then take it to if you want, you take it to a lawyer and says, okay, what's the deal here?
I actually will review that again.
Yeah, you do that.
But as I remember, as I went through it all and signing for the credentials, that they reserve all rights to it, and even had a time limit on when I could use it, when I could begin to use it for the publication that I was shooting for, and when it expired.
Oh, that's bullshit, man.
I'm just telling you.
That sounds like a basic infringement of a basic copyright law, Chuck.
Exactly. It is. Because you don't know, so you go find out and says, hey, there's bullshit here.
I actually will. I will. I'll check that, John. I'll just make sure, because, yeah, I've had a lot of people that wanted those photos.
It's just like the military, Chuck. When we took photos in the military, you might get a photo credit, but the government owned the copyright because it was their equipment. I used my equipment on occasion, and the government took the picture.
Yeah, that's interesting. I got to go back
now. I got hired by the U.S. Embassy to do a shoot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But those pictures belong to me. They don't belong to the United States government. They hired me.
You were hired by the government. We were in uniform. It's different.
Well, that's different. See, you guys are in uniform. You signed a contract with the United States government, correct?
That's right. We raised our right hand and took an oth.
There you go. Then you don't have nothing you don't have anything to stand on. But in my case, they hired me to do a job. Okay.
Right. Exactly. You were a contractor to the government.
So whatever the pictures I give them, they're gonna have it. Right? They can use it. But the copyright belongs to me. I own the copyright because I got my finger on the shutter.
Yeah,
and of
I
course,
understand that part.
I don't sign nothing.
I got into an argument with a public affairs supervisor at it because I was shooting film, my F5 camera and my film. He walked over. He says, "I'll take that film, please." I said,
he cannot.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
You tell that PAO he can go to hell.
Well, he outranked me, and I could get court-martialed for saying that.
All right, you know what, John, I understand everything you're saying, and I'm definitely going to check. I'm definitely going to check on that, but I'm going to pull up. Actually, I'll pull up my, what I had to go through or what I did. I want to find out. I want a definitive answer, and you've opened my eyes to look back on this.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm just remembering off the top of my head, some of the things that were in it. It had to do with limits of use. It had to do with whatever. But the bottom line was this: if I didn't sign this, then that's okay. They denied the credential.
I've had similar situations, Chuck.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine was a copyright attorney, and that's their deal. I mean, that's their expertise is in copyright and intellectual property. You go see them. It might be worth the $100 you give them.
Yeah.
But then they can set you straight. So here's the deal, right? But for you to do it is trying to diagnose yourself for a sickness you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And just like the government, U.S. government, right? Now you join me and you got to do this. He uses his own gear and still he gets whacked.
Yeah.
Right? So the problem with authority is like cops, they're going to tell you a bunch of stuff and use your ignorance. So you got to know.
Yeah, you're right. I got to check on it because, one again is branding, marketing, and everything else. The riders that I shot, I think that the event uses the excuse they're protecting them too, but because I was shooting the event for a reason. If you're shooting from the stands, that's got to be a whole different scenario. But I'm going to check on it, man.
Check on it.
Absolutely, because like I said,
it's like it's like when you go out on the street, right? You got your camera, and then you see some incident happen. The police come up to you and says, "Oh, stop filming, stop shooting."
Yeah.
What are you gonna say? Okay, yes, sir. Hey, fuck that, man.
No, but I see it as
Go
two
away.
different. I see it as two different instances
Yeah,
here.
I understand,
Yeah.
but same, but different. So just
Yeah.
know,
But
basically,
I,
is know your rights.
but I
Know,
am.
don't let them sandbag you.
Yeah, I am because again, I just real quick, I have a couple. I have a sequence of photos in one of the races where one of the big names in the very first turn, his boots came off or boot came off and caused a big pile up. Anyway, it doesn't sound like anything to you guys, but that never, ever, ever, ever happens. And it was covered by the other outlets, not with photos, but just a comment, that how this happened and blah, blah, blah. And I have a photo or several photos of it happening. And I actually told somebody about that. And they said, well, why didn't you give them two or whatever? And I did say that I offered them to the outlet, but the outlet did never respond. But, those are photos that a lot of people would want. I have a lot of those photos. And man, all right. I don't want to drag this on too much longer because I know a lot of people are probably saying, hey, what happened here? Rich said Tony is hacked into this live stream. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I've drugged that out a whole lot more for my own benefit, not you guys. I'm sorry about that.
Hey, Chuck, I know a good intellectual property attorney. I could probably get you a deal on a consult.
Yeah,
Chuck, I
go
would be
ahead.
happy to represent you in court.
There you go. All right, Z Wade photo. All right,
Practicing without a license again. How's Z-Wade?
Attorney at not.
yeah. I actually have a street photo out of New York City that I could make a little bit of money on because everybody loves it, but I don't have any. I didn't. It was a drive by as I took the photo, so I didn't get out and talk to the guy or anything else. But it's one of those things. I don't have a release from the individual.
If he's out in public, does it matter?
To sell it, yes, it does. I
Yeah,
think.
you still need a model release.
Yep.
If you're going to make money off of it.
Yeah. For editorial purposes, okay. For commercial use, no.
Yeah, if you're going to sell it as art and make a profit, you have to have a model release.
Yeah,
if you have an
but editorial-
identifiable person in the photo.
But for editorial purposes, no, you don't.
Correct.
And that was probably why I had the ability to put it in the smaller publication. It was just a few photos, bam, tracking or following a new up and coming writer, local writer, yada, yada, yada. And they did give me the credentials to go shoot. I wasn't shooting for, Racer X, Motocross X, and all the other big publications. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna check it out, John. I appreciate that.
Okay. One other thing out of interest, okay?
Yeah.
Regarding this shooting, military, and all this, what happened in the Gulf War? Not the Gulf War. What was the one Iraqi invasion thing? Remember all the journalists are put in embedded.
Yeah.
Remember that? Embedded. Yep. All right. Yep. So that's the way the government, the army, and the PAO is controlling what's going out. Right. They only see what they want to see. Okay.
Well, yeah, the government kicked Geraldo Rivera out of the theater because he revealed the tactical situation on the ground.
This is bullshit. Now, Vietnam was different. Right, you go in there, and these hardcore photographers go out there and shoot the real deal, and that changed the course of history, by the way. Now, you fast forward to today, right? Ukraine, any kind of conflict. My friend is out there in Sri Lanka right now, shooting for Vice News. Okay, so nobody can control what's going out and stuff. So that's why these new media like Vice and Vox, etc., is very, very important to us, to all of us, right? Not just CNN and all that, because they will comply to exactly what the army will say. Okay, you're embedded with us. You can only shoot A, B, and C.
Yeah,
that's not entirely true. I had a situation where I basically had to get a videographer and basically take his camera away from him because he was trying to paint a picture of something that happened I can't discuss here that really, had it gone out to the world, would have made look like what happened right then and there a war crime. And
Okay, that's what I understand that, but it's what I'm saying is it's very important to have these alternative news media. You know, that's what I call them, new media, which is like Vice. You've heard of Vice?
Yeah.
Vice News. Yeah,
Vice and
those type
Vox.
of guys. Yeah. And Business Insider, blah blah blah.
Yeah, all of which, by the way, are fairly left wing, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's another story. But it's up to you to make that decision and the call.
Personally,
And
I
this
think
is
that like this new era of like photo journalists, I think that they're like the most important thing that we have right now, because by the time like they just have the photos, especially like with Vice doesn't play around with a whole lot of BS. You know, they're out there in some pretty dangerous situations, but like by the time the news gets a hold of what they were shooting, it's all BS by then, you know. But the photojournalists themselves, the ones that are taking the pictures and like putting them out, they're so important, because even though they're not, the images aren't saying words, they're saying more than that, because they're giving you what's real at that moment, you know. And so I think that's super important.
Well, with these fellas, everyone's just journalist.
Yes.
Citizen journalist is right here.
Yep.
Right?
Until somebody takes your iPhone away.
Hey guys, it's 4 minutes to midnight, and I'm going to cut it off at midnight again. I got to get up early in the morning to go pick up my brother on the other side of Connecticut. Doesn't sound like much, but when you take the Ho Chi Minh Trail for 55 miles, Jeffrey knows what I'm talking about. There is
Are you talking about I-95, Chuck?
No, not at all. I wish. There is no good east-west connecting expressways. It's Ho Chi Minh Trail most of the way. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's the way it is here. North-south isn't so bad. Even though 84 says east-west, it's pretty much north-south.
we got a couple veterans in here, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so were either of you ever stationed in Korea?
No,
Never stationed in Korea. No.
Every time I come across somebody that's that has been stationed in Korea, I have to ask them if your officers made you run the Manchu Mile, because they had one guy at work that they had to do it once a year. He said it was miserable, but never mind.
I did, believe it or not, run Currahee in Georgia down in Toccoa.
How long is that?
3 miles up, 3 miles down.
Oof. You would think that the 3 miles down would be a relief, but after 3 miles up, I bet you it's just the urge to just tumble the rest of the way down is probably pretty high.
No, we ran in formation. You didn't dare drop out.
Greg Wilson. Oh, we have time. I'm only at 66% battery. Charles Davis comments even better. On Wednesday, it took you 30 minutes to sign off. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure we do it today, because I got to get up too early in the morning. I got to get my brother before we get into the meat and potatoes of the Open tomorrow. I got to see the final 4 hours of that at least.
Yeah, it starts at 4 a.m. Eastern time, Chuck.
Yeah, I know, but the leaders won't start until about 11 in the morning. Eastern time.
By the way, for Greg Corker, I was not in the 101st. I was in the 82nd.
Oh, nice.
Word?
82nd.
Well, the guys in the 101st used to say the AA stood for almost airborne, but
yes, Miles, man.
You know what we used to say to the guys in the 10 worst is like, yeah, you're
the 10 worst.
the 10 worst, or dope on a rope.
Hey, Miles, man.
Just kill me. The 10 worst.
Yeah,
well, actually,
you ever go to? You ever based in Fort Lewis?
My dad, when I was little, my dad had us there.
Or 9th Infantry Division, huh? I live right by there. Right next to Fort Lewis for years.
Where were you down in? Were you down in Tacoma?
Olympia.
Oh, Olympia, the state capital.
Yeah. That's where I grew up. I grew up in Washington.
I'm actually about what is it, 2 hours away from where Big Red One, where they come out of.
Kansas, yes,
Yeah,
Big Red One.
yeah, they're out by KU, Manhattan, in that area.
Fort Riley, Kansas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you ought to hear some of the dating horror stories that the women have around here about the about the guys from
Well,
Fort Riley.
And I'm sure you're aware of it, Paul, but actually what we called the 82nd were the jumping junkies.
Yeah, jumping junkies. I had a guy urinate on me.
You guys don't know how bad the drug problem was in the
in the 70s. It was terrible.
70s and early 80s. Yes.
I had a guy piss on me one time, came right down through the chimney of my chute, hit me in the helmet. I ran up to the guy on Sicily drop zone and cold cocked him.
Yeah.
And then another time I had a guy puke on me because it was a Hollywood jump on Saturday. And he puked on me because he was hungover. And it was just like, it was something like 19-year-old kid. I walk up to him and I go, "Private, what is your problem?" He goes, I'm hungover, Sergeant." "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
Hey, what year were you in the service, Paul?
Long time ago.
You don't have to say that.
No. Back when they still flew C-141s.
Oh.
And I was jumping out of E-model C-130s.
C-141s, man, out of McCord.
Well, you just say that's when bread cost a quarter a loaf or something like that.
Right? Pope isn't even an Air Force base anymore. It's an Army airfield. And they don't even have dedicated airlift anymore for the 82nd. They have rotational C-130 and C-17 units come in, and they fly. They taxi up to Green Ramp, and you get on the airplane. You don't know who's flying in that day.
All right, guys, I'm 1 minute over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I want to thank all you folks for being in here tonight. Thanks for the lesson, John. I'm definitely going to check that out because I would like to do something with a lot of images that I have. So I'm definitely going to check that out. Paul, thanks for being in here. Zach, thanks for joining us. And Jeff, my cornerstone on this channel, Mr. Jeff Neville of Selective Imagery.
I'm in the corner.
There
His
you go.
butt is growing roots into the chair on this channel.
So right now, hey, Z, I want you to plug your channel real quick, and I want you to do the same thing when he finishes, Jeff.
Yeah, guys, check me out at Z Wade Photo on YouTube or zwadephoto.com. You check out my personal art portfolio, or you can swing by the print shop and see if there's anything in there you think cool. And even if you don't buy, send me an email and tell me you really like the picture. And that's about all I got right now.
All right, great, man, great. All right, Jeff, you're up.
Hey, and if you're really bored, you got nothing better to do, you go to Selective Imagery. You can look at bird photos, street photography, bunch of different stuff. And the last two videos were specific to the upgrade of the Z9 firmware and how it affects bird photography. So hopefully you get some good information out on that. It's birds in flight and small birds, which were always a problem, small birds anyway. So hopefully you learn something and enjoy it. So check us out.
All right,
well,
man.
If you ever come to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, come and see me, and I'll tell you the reason why I moved out here.
All right, John. And you have a channel as well, don't you?
Oh, I haven't posted anything in 6 months.
Well, this may be what forces you into doing that. Everybody goes and leaves comments on.
I'll do something.
We'll shame you. We'll shame you into it.
Okay.
Everybody in the audience, I thank you guys for being out there. I know we're not going to break any records tonight, but I appreciate you being in here. I hope we did get to answer some of the questions and address some of the comments that you guys made. And hey, you know what? If you have a YouTube channel, and I know many of you do, I want you to jot it down in a comment after this when it rolls over to YouTube, because I'm going to copy all these and I'm going to start dropping them in the description for the live streams. So people can go check out the description and see all the videos and all the channels that I want them to actually recognize, because a lot of you guys are doing some great work out there and you should be recognized. And for anybody that's out there that wants to be on the channel, again, drop me a comment, let me know, and I'm going to get you guys in here as well, because this is a channel about us, not me, and none of the super special people. So I appreciate everybody being in here tonight. Yeah, the super special people, you know, all those million subscriber folks.
Chuck only lets us poor schmucks on.
Well, I'm a poor schmuck, so I'm in good company. With
I'm
you
so
guys.
glad the plebeians could get together on Saturdays.
Hey, how come Khan didn't get all that when he said the other day, I only watch small channels? That puts you in good company, man. Me too. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being in here. God bless you all. I'll see you again Wednesday. We'll be back and we'll see if we have a good topic by then. There's a lot going on in the photo world, but have a great night, what's left of it, wherever you are, or morning or day for you, John. And I'll see you again. Thanks again. Drop a like on the way out if you haven't. I appreciate it. For those that may be in here that aren't usuals, if you would, if you like what we do, consider subscribing. Other than that, I got nothing else, and you guys are great, and I'm out.
All the way,
Later,
Chuck.
everybody.
All the way, Chuck.
All right.